from the fiery depths of the Sonoran wasteland.
This wasted land.
And the black heart of a post-apocalyptic culture war.
You believe in Jesus, Senator? Well, you're gonna meet him.
An audio-visual assault canceled on continents you've never heard of.
The disease. I'm the cure.
When the Wokesters whine, the Bolsheviks bray.
Bleeding heart liberals, time to dispense some justice.
The RazorForce offensive opens fire.
Assimilate this.
Live from the front lines of the offensive, Tactical Hobo and Razorfist.
Welcome, one and all, to the Auditory Counterattack. Welcome to the RazorForce Offensive. I am your intrepid host, Razorfist, alongside the Animu Messiah, Terrangel. How are you, sir?
I'm doing just fine.
Yes!
Boy,
How
that...
you like that mushroom cloud live footage of India and Pakistan?
Yeah, I was going to say that's a bit poorly timed, but...
All I can think of with the India and Pakistan situation is how awkward are the holidays going to get at the J.D. Vance estate? That's my question. I don't know about... And the problem with India and Pakistan really is, at least at present, I don't see it escalating because both sides stand to lose more than they stand to gain. You know what I mean? Like they're fighting over obviously they've been warring over the Kashmir region for a long time, but like what do they actually stand to gain apart from turnips that glow in the dark? That's really why I don't see it escalating. What's your read on it?
I mean, water's the big deal there. All of their water,
and don't we know about it out here,
flows down from those mountains up in Kashmir. That's why fucking Kashmir started out as independent. Then Pakistan invaded, and then they had to sign a treaty with India. So Pakistan got to keep, that's why they called it Pakistan occupied Kashmir.
Right. But
anyway.
I mean, acquiring Indian bodies of water, little bit of a monkey paw wish. No?
If it does escalate, though, we have to call it SAR Wars.
Ah! SARS Wars.
No, SAR. Do not redeem SAR.
Yeah.
Look, the only thing I'll say about this is I think there was a miscommunication.
Yeah.
I think Pakistan misheard India.
Yeah.
I think they thought they said show bomb and vagine.
There you are. That's how this all started. But I mean, if you're Pakistan, you got to drive to the hoop. I mean, who doesn't want the most polluted waterway on planet Earth, Microsoft tech support, and a pervy sex book, right? Like that's what you gain if you're conquering India. So keep on keeping on, folks. Shine on, you crazy diamond. So it obviously escalated. We've seen some bombing take place in the Kashmir region. But the billion-dollar question is it going to escalate? And it kind of seems to have calmed down just briefly. Because, again, I have to reiterate, there's not a lot to gain. I see that, too.
Yeah, you do.
I see that, too. There we go. Oh, there we go. No. There we go. No, come on. There we go. Right there. That's the money shot. Godspeed, RazorForce. This is why we invite you along.
I saw that and I nearly choked.
So that's kind of my read on it. Is I don't see it escalating. I could certainly be wrong, but I don't see it escalating because what they stand to lose is, at least at present, larger than the amount that they stand to gain, which is really what has held this unsteady kind of peace thing going on for as long as it has. Although, in the minus column, we must say the video game Deus Ex, which has predicted virtually every world event of the last 20 years, also predicted, if you're running along in Deus Ex and you find a readable that mentions that an India and Pakistan conflict ultimately, and I quote, culminates in the exchange of nuclear warheads. So that's not a point in
what happens first, the Australian War or the war up north? What was it called? The Battle of...
You're not getting it confused with Fallout?
No. It was happening. There was an Australian war, and then the NSF attack. Not Saskatchewan. It starts with a W.
Squalnomi.
Yeah.
Squalnomi, which I think it's Piestawanomi now. All right, folks. Thank you for joining us here today. Oh my goodness. So much going on. Stephen Vaughn has christened it World War Poo. That should have been the name of the stream, to be honest. I'm a little disappointed in myself for not thinking of that, to be perfectly honest. Hex says, Leighton Tarrant, hey, you want to jump over? Speaking of which, we put out the call on social media earlier for all of you to interact with us, shooting us over your questions and your comments and your cinnamon bun recipes so that we could mock them live on the show. So every single week that we do with the RazorForce Offensive, we're going to be doing that. Taryn, you want to jump over there and just pick out a few?
Sure. Sure.
In the meantime, Dust in the Grim. Most wrestlers have action figures, t-shirts, video games, books, etc. But on Russo's show last week, Al Snow may very well have topped them all with a new toy meant for the ladies. I don't want to know. I do not want to know.
Sleep-deprived Bear would like to know, what are your thoughts on the Mech Assault games, and have you played them?
Love them. In fact, there's a Mech Assault game sitting right next to me. Well, it hasn't been convicted of Mech Assault just yet, but it's a cute. No, I actually have Mech Assault 1 and Mech Assault 2 Lone Wolf. The second one is really underrated. I love the online mode for that. It was way ahead of its time. There was like a persistent universe element to it where you were like taking worlds and whatever. And, you know, if the game had blown up a little bit bigger, I think it would have been huge. But unfortunately, I think that game came out in 04 or 05, which was right at the tail end of the Xbox's life cycle. It was backwards compatible on 360, but that didn't breathe enough life into it to kind of keep it going, which is a shame because Mech Assault 2 is a really cool game. Plus, you get to play as elementals in that. I think they kind of rode the elemental thing a little hard in that game, but still it was cool to have elementals that you could actually play. You could get out of the elemental suit and run around as a normal infantry soldier. Kind of a wish list item from a long time ago in Battletech and Mech Warrior games. I mean, from way back when me and my friends would be sitting around, what could Mech Warrior do in the future? We were always thinking, man, what if you could get out of the battle mech and run around? And right, that's kind of my dream RPG at some point, is to have that sort of Starfield but Battletech. Starfield but not shitty and Battletech. All right, that's
we brainstormed a game like that. We kind of want it to be like Mass Effect.
Yeah, that's my idea. You could get out of the mech, but then once you get into the mech, you have full on like Mech Warrior mode. Is kind of the way that I look at it. And why not, right? If you play the tabletop RPG, you have the Mech Warrior RPG module, and then you can plug that into the tabletop game. And once you're in the tabletop game, it's just the tabletop game. It's a tactical, mech assault game or whatever. Accused of assault. All right, folks. Of course, the big news is a gentleman by the name of Pope Leo the 14th. Now, we have a new pope. Do you want to read that out real quick? Do you have that, Taryn?
Yes, I do. The first American in history.
Well, hold your. He isn't from America. He's from Chicago. There's a difference, damn it.
But there should be anyway.
There is.
First American in history chosen as new pope. He will take the name of Leo the 14th.
Yeah, which is, man, every previous Leo has been an excommunicating fool. Leo the 10th excommunicated Luther, one of the later Leos. They've excommunicated all kinds of. That's like the excommunicator kind of pope. So interesting. Go down and tell us. They give you a brief summary of kind of what he's like.
He is.
Because that's the big question mark right now before we continue. That's the big question mark. Is like, okay, what are his positions? What exactly does he stand for? Because we've been stuck with the Pinko Pope for 12 years now, something like that.
Yeah, and I'm sure this one will be better. Yeah,
and Pope Francis, as I've heard from many Catholics, has made it very difficult to be a Catholic at times. He has. But anyways, continue. We have a new Pope.
He is Robert Francis Prevost, 69. Nice. The first American.
Oh, hold on.
What?
Before we continue. Welcome to the show, Mr. Tactical Hobo.
Greetings and salutations.
Hey, no false advertising this week. We've got Tactical Hobo in the house. What do you think of the new Pope, bro?
Dude, I haven't looked into him at all, but it's interesting. Yeah, he's from Chicago, huh?
Yeah, not from America, from Chicago.
Right. Chirac.
Taryn, go ahead and read.
The first American to serve as leader of the Catholic Church, who is taking the name Pope Leo XIV, originally from Chicago, until now Provost was the head of the church's
dicastery
of bishops. Let's see.
This is interesting. I've been reading that. I must have read 5 or 6 different articles today, and they all said the same thing in different language. And this drives me a little nuts when I read this, but go ahead.
According to CBS News, Provost is seen overall as a centrist. Oh, that means he's left-leaning.
Right.
Though on some key social issues, he's viewed as progressive. So yes, he's left.
Yeah.
He holds dual citizenship with Peru, where he spent many years of his career.
Yes. I keep hearing him called a centrist or a moderate. But then I see his stances. I dug a little bit deeper, and I saw some of his stances on, surprise, surprise, he's open borders, pro-immigration, and apparently he's big on stumping for the global warming, climate change crap. Like, but is the Roman Catholic version of moderate just leftists that don't murder babies? Is that all it is? Because that seems like where we've landed at this point. Like, I tell you what. For the record, I will convert the moment we get a pope who's as scorched earth as Martin Luther was. You, homo with the frosted hair tips, you're hereby sentenced to suffocation via violent, like, dong swallowing. You atheist guy, you hereby are not allowed to be insured against acts of God, asshole. No more holidays either. You either believe or you don't, bitch. Like, where's that pope? Where's Battle Pope? You ever read those comics, bro?
No.
Dude, it's a pope wielding, like, Uzis. Like a big just shit ripped pope who's got like a nun on either arm, and he's running around with Uzis murdering. He's chopping a cigar, and he's murdering demons and stuff. It's like if Doom Guy was the Pope. It's a great comic. You got to read it.
Let me ask, who would you have chosen for Pope? I mean, if there's any name out there that you would have liked.
Martin Luther. No, Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He threw his hat in the ring. What'd you guys think of that, by the way? There was some accusations of sacrilege on that one.
Oh,
please. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I did too. He's not disrespecting the Catholic Church. If anything, he's venerating it. We're a Protestant nation. You're lucky we even acknowledge the Bishop of Rome as having any legitimacy. Stop it. It was just a meme, and it was a funny meme. Get over it. Jesus.
We need Razorfist for Pope.
See, I was pulling for Robert Serra. That guy's awesome.
Right.
That, or we could have had Pizza Balla Pope.
Emperor Creatine breaking. The papal conclave elects Joe Biden as Francis II after 3 a.m. cardinal ballot dump. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the thing. I can sum up the papacy in one word. There
was a cardinal named Pizza Balla. Come on.
What? There was?
Yeah, what do you think I've been going on about it for? I forget what his full name is, but his name's Pizza Balla.
Oh.
I wonder what country he's from.
Right?
Yeah, I wonder.
At least he's not Pizza Patron.
I think he's a local.
Yeah, right. You want to hit up more of those questions from social media real quick?
Absolutely.
And Godspeed to each and every one of you who are watching us right now. The RazorForce Offensive, we're trying to do these weekly now. We had a fine return episode last week. It was a lot of fun, and it ain't like there's nothing going on in the news right now.
Prairie Man would like to know, any thoughts on Michael Malice? I think you two have a lot in common.
Next. He invited me on his podcast, and I told him to blow it out his ass. Does that answer your question?
So is that a maybe? Or... Crack a Bible would like to know. I'll be in Phoenix next week. What's the best steakhouse?
Oh man, it's sad because the best steakhouse doesn't exist anymore, bro. You remember Monty's?
Man, I've never heard of that one actually.
You never heard of Monty's? It was like legendary in Tempe
Really?
and northern Phoenix. It was actually near where we went to church.
Oh,
It was like kind of on the way there, but anyway, It was right next to there. And dude, that place was so banging. But it went away several years ago. And honestly, no other steakhouse compares that I'm aware of. Have you eaten at any steak restaurants in Arizona that are like halfway decent and not a chain place?
yeah. When you take out the chains, that eliminates a lot.
Yeah, I feel like most people just go to Outback or whatever.
There's a place called my parents when we would go out to this place called Firebirds, but I think it's a chain. It's pretty good though. But there's a place called, I've never been there, but I've heard real good things about it. It's like called Durant's. I'm sure you've heard of that one.
Yeah, I have.
It's owned by the mafia or something. I don't know. It has sort of a history, right? That type of history. But I've heard
right, exactly. No, so there's our recommendation.
And we'll pull one from Spacetronaut Chronicles. Can you do a review of The Fifth Element sometime? Your long breakdowns, like the one on Blade Runner, are fantastic.
Oh, so you'd rather have like a film noir cut. Problem is that movie's not a film noir. Really what it is, it's Valerian the movie, but not. That's what it is. Luc Besson wanted to make a Valerian film, but he couldn't get the rights, and he didn't think that a Valerian movie would sell. He thought it would bomb in theaters. Good prediction on that one, by the way, Lukey. Because he wound up making a Valerian movie years later, and it did bomb. but it's basically him kind of all the comics that he grew up with, heavy metal, metal hurlant, whatever in France, the Franco-Belgian kind of sci-fi and cyberpunk comics that I've recommended in my Enter Bande Dessinée video and such. It was all of those and basically combining them all together into a great big bucket, and boom, there you go. The Fifth Element. It's essentially Valerian. Mostly it's Valerian though. So I love that movie, but like for different reasons. Is there another one?
Sure, we can do one more. Major Spike. You've said before that the vice president should pick a project to work on so that he doesn't lose relevance in the public eye. Have you looked into JD's background for clues as to what kind of project that might be?
He already has a project. It's funny because it looks like mostly his project right now is he runs advanced reconnaissance for Trump in international diplomatic affairs. If you saw that absolute ass caving that he dealt out to the EU, that was not just a therapeutic exercise in Trump telling Europe to shit in their hat. That was tactics, really. What has Trump been saying since 2015? Europe needs to pay their fair share. Europe loves to wave in our face that they have all these glorious social programs. Look, we've proven that socialism can work. You just mix it with capitalism. Not so much. The only reason that's allowed to exist is because America is basically paying for your defense with our missile grid, with all of our naval bases, our Air Force bases. And Trump basically called Europe's bluff. And that was the whole point. That was the entire point of JD Vance going out to Europe and doing that. So I wonder if more of that isn't going to be called for, because he's interjected himself in the Russia-Ukraine situation. He basically beat the EU like a scalded dog on national TV. That seems to be the role that he's settling into. And that's not a bad place for him to be, because if you're front and center in international affairs that are going to be of international import going forward, you're not going to be out of the public eye for very long. And you'll have a pretty good chance, at least as long as the entire world doesn't erupt in nuclear fire, of being the presidential nominee and probably the president later on. So that would be my guess.
Do you want another one? Or
yeah, give us like one or two more.
All right. Rez the best, maybe. Is there a new metal song that you actually like, tolerate even?
A new metal song that I like or tolerate?
He gives examples like Push It by Static X, or Toxicity by System of a Down?
Definitely not Toxicity. Oh, God.
I do actually like Push It.
The answer is no. Yeah, because like I used to be into like early Lamb of God, late Burn the Priest. Like, so Burn the Priest turned into Lamb of God, but they're more like groove metal. They're not really new metal as such. So you might even call them metalcore in places, but that's about it. And boy, are their politics cringe. That's a rough one. One more, and then let's move on to some more cringe politics.
Elite Patriot would like to know, how much power or influence does the Pope actually have over other Christian denominations?
None, although Lutherans, I know, do acknowledge that the Pope is the Bishop of Rome, like they accord him that authority, which a lot of people don't realize. It's not a flat out. Actually, it's a good read for people who are curious on how Protestants are supposed to view the Pope, or the person called the Pope, is The Power and Primacy of the Papacy. It was written by, I think it's Philip Melanchthon, and it's in the Book of Concord. It's a fascinating read, and it really does dispel a lot of silly tradcaf and ortho bro podcast myths about how Protestants are supposed to view the papacy, which is, of course, why they don't read it. That, and most of them can't read. But I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Congratulations on your new Pope. All right. Speaking of cringy politics, let's... this is going to be a cringe and a half. So hold on a darn tootin' minute. Let me share this bad boy here. Not this. We already know that we have a new Pope. By the way, in your estimation, how do you guys view? But before we move on, Tactical Hobo and I went to the same church and everything. So how do you view the new Pope, and as far as what you've seen, anyways, Hobo? Before we move off of this subject.
Yeah, like I said, I hadn't looked into too much, but I mean,
they're not really telling you a whole lot of his positions, but the objectionable ones that I have seen in my digging are climate change out the yin yang, and vastly pro open borders.
Well, the thing is, like the same people, a lot of the same people who elected the last Pope are probably electing this one, right?
Right.
So, and we know the Catholic Church, I mean, they have been historically very pro migration because, you know,
they want that. Yeah.
Go to the Catholic Church, of course.
Yep. They want more Hispanics in America because Hispanics tend to be Catholic. It's really that simple of arithmetic, which is sadly, and you see this in more than just Catholicism. It's not just a Catholic thing. Left Lutherans, left Episcopals, left Presbyterians and such will, when they were uncovering, I think it was James O'Keefe, right? Not Project Veritas, but James O'Keefe. He uncovered that a lot of those basically illegal alien trafficking charities in the American Southwest, particularly in Arizona, were either Catholic or like left Lutheran or left Presbyterian or whatever. It's those charities. And it's really just all about, hey, they keep our coffers full. They keep our churches full. And so it's basically like laity replacement theory when you think about it. It's really, really messed up. So that was an interesting expose, by the way, guys. You should definitely check that out if you have the time. One thing you shouldn't check out is Jasmine Crockett. Texas, I don't know what you're doing over there, but and you're probably wondering the same thing about Arizona, and I don't blame you. But Jasmine Crockett, folks, says, and I quote, Republicans are inherently violent. I'm sure she has sound argumentation to justify this assertion. Let's go ahead and have a gander.
They try to act like, oh, political violence, it's the Democrats and it's the liberals. And it's like, actually, I mean, I'm not going to say that like a left-leaning person cannot be violent, because that would be like crazy to say that somebody can't be. But baby, y'all got the white supremacists galore, okay? Like all of them. You got the Proud Boys. You got the neo-Nazis. You have people that literally should be classified as domestic terrorists, because a lot of times that is what they are doing. They're engaging in domestic terrorism. And guess what? They all align with your side, including the KKK. So like, I mean, this is who aligns with that. So like inherently in like who you are, y'all are violent. Like y'all, and most of your violence has to do with people that's got a little bit of melanin. But nevertheless, like y'all are a violent group of, like, you attract violent actors. And like, I'm sorry, I know they tried to make Black Lives Matter out to be the most violent. What about Black Lives Matter? No. So that's the thing.
I mean, how many people died in a single month during the Summer of Love again?
Yeah. You remember when the Proud Boys burned down entire cities? Yeah.
But January 6th. What's the only thing they have, man, is that one incident. They have nothing else. Okay, name another fucking thing that ever happened. That's all I can go to is January 6th.
The final death toll, I think, in a single month, by the way, on the Summer of Love was 24 fatalities.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it was all protesters killing other protesters. Like no cops killed anybody.
Yep.
It was, a matter of fact, it was cops that were dying. A couple of cops died.
A couple, yes, absolutely. I don't know. She's right, though. I would never call this woman a terrorist. Her hairdresser and her dialect coach, maybe, but not her.
She.
Baby. Can you believe we have elected officials using this nomenclature? Can you believe this?
In Texas, nonetheless.
Where are we living? What year is it? Baby. You know, Trump has the weave. She does too, just a different kind.
Sorry, I just read something in chat.
Bro, when did dude, I need to add that as a sound effect.
Yeah, you need a soundboard. I mean, you've got the thing in front of you. Just have one button dedicated to playing the chirp button.
When did Texas start electing Jerry Springer guests? Exactly, is my question. What is going on over there? What district is that? I assume it's one of the bluer areas. Is it Austin?
I bet it's Houston. I would bet like anything. It's probably inner city Houston.
Right. Hold on, let me actually read this.
Yeah, look her up. I'm not sure who she represents. Dallas? Downtown Dallas, bro.
Yeah.
If you've ever driven on Dallas roads, you know Democrats designed that shit. Especially highways. What the hell? Hey, I'm actually kind of inspired by a tangled ball of yarn. Let's go ahead and make that. Have you ever driven in Dallas, guys?
I've been to Dallas. It's really not that great.
It's an insanity test.
And I've visited Austin before it became, I don't know what you want to call that, infected or gentrified, the same thing. But Austin was much better, at least back then.
Yep. GK got killed. Quick, someone tell JD Vance to meet with this Pope. Stop it. You stop it. Tell Pope Francis timidly opens the door. You wanted to see me, sir? Christ. Yes, Francis. We need to talk about your work performance.
Agent JD, here's your assignment.
I shall leave you to prepare, 47. Donald Duck. Sorry, we have to say that like Chris Christie. Donald Duck. Anyway, got some Blueberry hardcovers from Graffiti Design's old site for $50 each, and they were signed by Mobius. That's boss. I don't know how they were still in stock. These are out of print for hundreds now. Do you have any? I have them all, actually. They're sitting right over there. And I got a cool little, not little, a great big like banner poster of when the Blueberry comics were re-released by Epic/Marvel. So congrats on that. That's a great find.
And congratulations on finding the ASCII character for the combined O and the E.
Yeah. Crew Kid 52. This Pope was likely a calculated move by the Vatican to try to drive a wedge between American Catholics and Trump/JD. To be honest, the only people that would work on are boomer Catholics who hate him anyway. Yeah, I just don't see that happening. I don't think that's the move necessarily. I know that Francis had sort of implanted a lot of his own people in the conclave. It's all very mysterious with the conclave. That's not how the Pope used to be or the Bishop of Rome used to be appointed. The earliest historic references from the 1st to 3rd century show that the Bishop of Rome was actually elected by the laity. The laity actually took a vote, and that was how the Bishop of Rome got to be the Bishop of Rome. And at some point, that turned into a conclave thing and a very cloak and dagger behind-the-scenes process slowly over those centuries. Deus Vault, do you have some noir novel recommendations? Yes! I, the Jury by Mickey Spillane. Do it. Highly, highly recommend it. All right, cool. Valent Star, all memes, infighting, and immense coping aside, pray for the Catholic Church and its flock. Oh, and Habadidia Vivekistan. Let's see here. Primarch Vulcan, if Macho Man Randy Savage were still alive, do you think he would be based, or would he have ended up a sad, woke disappointment? He was pretty based while he was alive. He would not be woke.
No.
Put it this way. If Hulk Hogan is attending MAGA rallies and shit, dude, Savage probably would have been there first, to tell you the truth, because he always had more balls. Let's be real. Always. You ever hear his diss track against Hulk Hogan? The rap diss track that he did?
The rap? No.
Man, Hogan. Dude, he made an album, Be a Man. Time that he did Spider-Man, I think. It was like right after that. He put out a rap album. Macho Man Randy Savage did. And the funny thing is, he got a bunch of smart, right? Oh, he got a bunch of like actual rappers to produce him. So every single press junket he did, which was not many, there was just a bunch of random black guys standing around not saying anything. Imagine Macho Man Randy Savage in like a leather vest and like full leather biker regalia, and he's cutting a promo on Hogan, and there's just a bunch of black dudes standing around for some reason. No, let me introduce you to my farming equipment. No, anyways, TV's Hank. Can we get Trump issuing a bachal to Pelosi for Alcatraz Island? Dude, we should actually talk about that. Taryn, do you have the Alcatraz story? You want to pop that up real quick?
Reopening Alcatraz. Yes, we do.
Reopening Alcatraz. This is kind of an editorial, so don't worry about like reading all of it. But long and short of it is they're going to be reopening Alcatraz. Now, Hobo, I got to hear what you have to say about this. I know you've been to San Francisco, right? I certainly have.
I have been to San Francisco. Somehow I never made it to Alcatraz, though.
Never. I toured it twice. It's pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
But I'll have to add it to the list while it's, still a tourist attraction.
Yeah, won't be much longer here. I'm wondering how fast they move. Of course, Pelosi's pissed about the lost tourism money. Like, come on, Nance. You've still got all the sidewalk feces. Come on. Jesus. Of course, the real question, what does Nancy's husband's boyfriend think of all this is the real question. I don't know. Someone should stop by Home Depot and ask him. Let's go.
Stop. Hammer time.
Yes.
Reopening Alcatraz, a perfect symbol for the MAGA movement. Is a symbol of full-throated American justice.
Oh my goodness!
Fortified with puritanical harshness.
Oh my God, I love that. We almost don't need to read it. That's incredible.
Alcatraz
I love that. RFK's in his cabinet, and it was Attorney General Robert Kennedy who ordered its closure. You know, RFK Jr.'s had to bite his tongue so many times. It's like basically in chunks in his mouth right now. Trump administration. That is absolutely great.
Alcatraz, in its heyday, a legendary and forbidding prison fortress. Most famously, it housed Al Capone, perhaps the greatest criminal mastermind in American history. Very nice.
Yes, sir. It's been closed for a long time. It was closed for kind of dumb reasons of maintenance. And that was also, I remember after its closure, there was that goofy shit where Native Americans and commies took over Alcatraz. Or it was a bunch of commies, and then they called them Native Americans because there was like 5 Native Americans in attendance. So it was like, oh, it's actually, it's indigenous people trying to take back their land, and they chose a prison for some reason. Right?
Isn't that a Dirty Harry movie?
It is.
It was. Speaking
The
of which,
Enforcer,
there's
right?
at least one other famous event that took place at Alcatraz. Shall we refamiliarize ourselves, gentlemen?
Oh, here it comes.
Yes.
Yes. As immortalized in the Rageaholic Cinema Dirty Harry Month that we conducted several years ago. Good
There's also
time.
that Steven Seagal movie that was kind of like one of the first like of his decline movies, Half Past Dead, where they reopen Alcatraz, and it has who's the rapper guy in there with him? I don't remember.
DMX?
No, that was Exit Wounds. It was some other guy. I don't freaking. It's like shit.
50 Cent?
No,
I'm just gonna name black guys.
Ja Rule. That's who it was.
Ja Rule.
Whatever the hell happened to him?
Right now, that's a name I've not heard in a long time. A long time. He was a good friend. Anyway, that's incredible. I can't believe that. I don't know, guys. So what do we think about the reopening of Alcatraz, Hobo?
You know, I know Trump likes to do a lot of things that are symbolic. This would absolutely be symbolic, but like how much it would cost to actually get it back up to like functional standards and everything, I don't really know. I mean, I'm sure it would cost a lot of money to revitalize it and everything.
Yeah, I assume it wouldn't be a state prison. It would be a federal penitentiary again, right? It would probably be one of those. So that would be a bunch of federal funds. But honestly, compared to some of the other garbage we're throwing money at, it'd probably be peanuts, to be honest. And it's not like they haven't. If you've been there, you know that they maintain it to a degree.
That's what I was going to bring up. They've been spending money on maintenance.
Yeah, pretty much the only maintenance they don't do. If you've been to Alcatraz, you know exactly what I'm talking about. About the only maintenance they don't conduct is scraping the seagull shit off the ceilings because it's everywhere. The entire island is just one gigantic mound of seagull shit. It's incredible.
Need to modernize the prison cells themselves. That's going to be a couple million, but beyond that,
probably. But yeah,
what I remember of it, I mean, I don't know. It did have the like, if I remember correctly, it has the sliding bar doors and whatever.
They're manual, not electronic.
Right nowadays, I think you actually have a door that shuts and it has a little part hole, and that's what most prisons are now, I believe.
Yeah.
Of course, Hunter Biden heard they were reopening the Rock and tried to smoke it naturally. So rip in peace, Hunter Biden. I'm sorry. Yeah. And I'm sorry for the Michael Bay movie reference. Actually, I love that movie. I'm not even going to lie. I hate Michael Bay and I love The Rock.
Everyone loves The Rock. I mean, that was actually like a great classic action movie from the 90s.
It was with the music of Harry Gregson Williams, who today does basically nothing but Metal Gear Solid soundtracks.
I'm Stanley Goodspeed. Of course you are.
Yes. Hey, you want to pick out a few more from the social media thread? We want to hear from the RazorForce. It is the RazorForce offensive, not the Razor Fist offensive.
Let's see. We have one here from Jordan. I turned to faith last year and joined a church.
Mm-hmm.
I found most priests to be self-righteous freeloaders who don't care about other people, but love the priest of my church.
Mm-hmm.
Church drama and liberal Christians pushed me out. Any tips how to prevent this or deal with these people?
Church drama, and I mean, man, you have church drama. Yeah, Hobo can speak to this. There's always church drama.
Multiple times.
Yeah, whenever I hear about online drama, I'm like, oh, this is adorable. This is so cute. I grew up with church drama. This is nothing. This is nothing. You haven't lived until you've had the associate pastor caught in bed with the wife of one of the laity. Like, you're not, come on. This is nothing. But yeah, you're going to have church drama wherever you go. I mean, honestly, There was church drama, even at the church that we attended, and I remember towards the end, they tried, because it was kind of a seeker-friendly church at the end, and they tried to expand and then ran out of money, and the church kept getting smaller, and they brought in a new pastor, and of course that turned a bunch of the original worshipers off, and it just didn't end well at all, right? So if you're looking for people in the church to be perfect, I think you've kind of got it wrong. Hospitals aren't for people who are well, they're for people who are sick. And the only difference between a Christian or the only real operative difference between a Christian and a normal, just everyday atheistic person is that ideally a Christian has rescinded their godhood and hopefully died to themselves and humbled themselves to the point where I like how Alice Cooper puts it. I've just admitted that I'm not God anymore. That's basically what Alice Cooper, and I think that's the operative. Yes, there should be other evidence. It should produce works in your life. As Martin Luther said, God doesn't need your good works, but your neighbor does. It should produce that. There should be fruit of the Spirit. But, at the end of the day, I think you need to understand that these are humans. You have to have a degree of patience. As I've gotten more and more involved in the church that I attend now, I've run into the little, oh, did you read from the King James? Oh, that's not a good translation. That kind of stuff, the goofy Christian busybody drama that you run into. And honestly, I kind of just smirk at it, and it honestly is a little heartwarming because it's like it's so quaint compared to what's going on in the world and compared to like existential issues. So I think through prayer and humility, it's best to come to an understanding that, hey, these are just humans. They're not perfect. They're far from perfect. In fact, they're only here because they've admitted they're not perfect. So try to have patience. Try to be kind and understanding. It's one thing if you don't agree theologically with the church, maybe you should move on. But that would be my advice personally. You got to be charitable to your brothers and sisters personally. You want to read another one?
Sure. Here's one from Victor Jackson. Would you be up to doing a Rageaholic Wrestling videos about pro wrestlers, feuds, angles, matches, promos, etc.?
What do you mean? I think Nigel Blaverton with OS What Cultulamia. I think he's doing a great job. I don't know what you're talking about. I could never improve on his formula. So never.
Here's one from the Shade Master. With the reopening of Alcatraz, will Trump throw the entire Pelosi crime family, including her nephew Gavin Newscum, into a cell?
Into Alcatraz? Only if we make sodomy a punishable offense again. I don't know. Maybe in that case. Certainly Paul Pelosi would be in the clink if that were made a crime again.
How about one from Gog? Would you ever do a rant on why you think Tarantino is a hack?
Because he basically makes inferior versions of other people's movies over and over and over again. It's kind of the same reason I'm not a big James Cameron guy, because he kind of just makes other people's movies a little bit. Nothing wrong with being derivative. Everyone's derivative. Star Wars is derivative, but Star Wars is derivative of a bunch of different stuff. It's mixing a bunch of different stuff together. It's got a little The Hidden Fortress. It's got a little Flash Gordon. It's got a little Commando Cody. It's got a lot of that. It's got Flash Gordon, all that stuff. And it kind of mixes that all into a great big bucket, and out comes Star Wars. To me, that's how you're derivative with style. If you're just James Cameron and you're just making Fern Gully with tail sex, no, that's hacky. That's really hacky. Tarantino's kind of the same way. When he Reservoir Dogs is like two different film noir movies. He just stole their plots and then added a lot of slow-mo and 90s style moments. And that's kind of what Tarantino does. He's kind of a style guy. Let's see here. Blitz Systems, the new Pope is from Chicago. The world needs Pope Capone the First, not Pope Wokeness the 10th. But would we bring him in for parking tickets? That's the question. Pope Metallicus the First. This is not the first American Pope. I predate him by over 4 years. The media is really slipping these days. Hail, sir. All right. Big Trev, I can't be the only one who noticed an immediate halt to all scam call center calls since the India versus Pakistan scuffle started, right? I don't know. I still notice the bots on social media, so they can't have done away with all of it. Normal man, will it be Pinko Pope 2, Electric Boogaloo, with a new funny hat guy in Rome? Will the Globo homos try and use the new Pope to throw stones at Trump and garner Catholic support? I think they're calling him moderate because, you know, I should have checked this. I should have checked this before we went to air. I would be interested to look back on the articles that were written when Pope Francis was appointed and see if they used the term moderate to describe him. Because I'd almost bet that they did. I'd almost bet that they did. Because it doesn't sound like on paper this guy's moderate at all. It sounds like he's maybe slightly less progressive than Pope Francis and great big thick black underline under slightly. Let's see here. This India-Pakistan war is terrible. On an unrelated note, I've had a noticeable drop in scam calls. Godspeed, sir. All right. Zero, think JD's family is tense. I know this chick whose grandfathers both fought at Kursk on opposite sides. Things got interesting after some drinks. You served alcohol when they met? Should have been convicted for that.
Did you also steeple your hands?
Yeah! Would you? He was stroking a white Persian cat as he did so. The Azure Nightmare. Nothing ever happens. Sounds more like Son Redeemed. No repeats. Godspeed, sir. This is glorious. Joel, the smog of war is upon us. I'm going to have to steal that for a video title or something and not give you credit. James Bursey, us U.S. natives born rightwise to this fine land, may the Christian Lord guide our hands against the Roman popery. Popery. All right. Ultimate Kahuna. Any advice for dating foreign women? I've started to recently, and it's been a breath of fresh air, but I wonder if there's a disconnect. I guess it depends on the culture. I don't know. Have either of you dated any foreigners?
No.
Not exactly dated, but I've talked to like some video chat or whatever.
Yeah,
I met online, but they didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Everyone has those. I dated a Canadian girl once, I guess, but she was from Alberta, so Texas of Canada, so it wasn't that much of a culture shock or anything. I don't know, man. I think if you were to get a girl from somewhere a little more traditional, and not in a gimmicky kind of, I'm going to basically order a mail order bride from Ukraine or something. It might work out better if you're a more conservative and traditional kind of person. Like if you're a traditional Catholic or something like that, you might be better served dating outside of the American dating pool because it's a nightmare out there. Like it's ridiculous. So much World War poo. My goodness. Black Metal Gamers, Stephen Vaughn. Big Trev, World War Poo is the best one I've heard. Scully Bones, this will be the smelliest war in human history, only if they start cooking. Stormcrow, Pakistan isn't serious about India unless they hit important Indian utilities. That is all the call and help desk centers. Damn YouTube censors. But would Microsoft allow them? Dude, if Pakistan started targeting Indian call centers, Microsoft would field an army to defend them. Does anyone doubt this?
No, absolutely. The fucking missiles that hit Pakistan would have the Microsoft logo on the side.
Yeah, your freaking Master Chief would be riding the missile. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no.
Microsoft can set all their laptops like self-destruct or something.
Yeah, this actually kind of answers the question this guy had. Given the current Indo-Paki conflict, I wonder how the corpos are handling the situation, given how a metric ton of them outsource their call centers to both countries. Exactly. Luke Korolovich Art. I apologize for butchering
That's why I never say it. I just call him Luke.
Luke Koronovitz. Yeah, whatever. Someone told me Red Letter Media is cool. Thoughts? They have cold takes. Does that count? Have that in J.J. Abrams' We Trust take of theirs age. Like yogurt on a water heater, I'm thinking. Naughty Boober, all fun and games until 500 million Bajit refugees start shitting on your streets en masse. Hey, an even bigger tourist attraction in San Francisco. That's what I'm saying.
He means another 500 million?
Everybody wins. Everybody.
It's got the Alien versus Predator tagline. No matter who wins, we lose.
And you could call it Alien versus Predator, too. All right. Josiah Flynn, thank you for that. You saw it. I won't read it out, but Call of Sent. Oh, goodness.
I saw that one earlier.
Jeremy Abramson. What about Heavy Gear? No, I actually like Heavy Gear. Did you ever play those games back in the day, Hobo?
I think I played the first one maybe like a long time ago, though.
I can't remember the second one very well, but the first one was great. That was a period where, thanks to Mech Warrior 2 and 3 being huge kind of hits, we actually got a little bit of a mech game explosion in the mid-90s. And so we got Heavy Gear, we got Earth Siege. You ever play Earth Siege?
Yes, I believe I did play that.
Terra Nova, like Looking Glass Studios made Terra Nova and stuff like there was some cool games that came out of that period, and then it kind of died off. And Mech Assault, I feel like Mech Assault was successful enough. We at least got like Chrome Hounds, and we got another Armored Core out of it. A little bit, but it wasn't quite what the 90s was. If you were alive in the mid-90s, you remember there were a lot of mech games for a minute there. It was like
Mech Warrior 2 was huge, man. And remember, like, they gave that game away with like it was included with graphics cards and stuff. If you buy a new computer, you get like Mech Warrior 2 free and all sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah, a mutual friend of ours, I remember going to their house after church one day for a birthday party. And they had just gotten a brand new computer with a brand new graphics card, and it came with Mech Warrior 2. And I got to play. I was playing Mech Warrior 2. I forget if it was just normal 2 or 2 Mercenaries.
You got to have a 3DFX card for that, man.
3DFX. We were playing Wolfenstein 3D and Mech Warrior 2. Good times. Good times. JGGR, India and Pakistan go to war. Google Play card sales at an all-time low. More than 11. Thank you. Please come again. Oh, my goodness. Ben Manjariri. I'm going to go Riri. Is Razorfist going to play Expedition 33 soon? Please. I do have it installed. We're ready to go. Woo. But something else came out that I can't believe we did not play yet. The Phantom game came out.
That came out?
It's out. I got it. I played it last night. It's a mixed bag, but it's one of the most beautiful hand-drawn games I've ever seen in my life. We have to play this thing. So I think, guys, here's your sneak peek. RazorForce tomorrow night's Razorfist Arcade. If you have not seen The Phantom, yes, the Billy Zane movie, they made a Phantom video game, a beat-em-up in 2025, and we are gonna play it. We're gonna put on our toupees just like Billy Zane, and we are going to play The Phantom. So that's tomorrow night's stream. Be there or be a bitch who doesn't like Billy Zane. Gabriel Knight. Ooh, this one's for Tactical Hobo because you and I are big Star Wars fiends. What with the B-Wing there that you got, I got from you. Gabriel Knight. Andor is awful. Its fans are dumb. Want to pretend they're smart and act like they're watching HBO Prestige TV. Have you watched any Andor?
I have not, man. Like, I haven't seen most of those because I don't have Disney Plus, so, you know.
Have you seen any of the Disney Star Wars shows?
Okay, I did see the Obi-Wan one.
That's the only one?
Yeah.
Was that the one where Luke Skywalker showed up at the end, or was that Mandalorian? I think it
was Mandalorian.
Okay, at the end of that was like the only interesting moment of. I did see a few episodes of the Mandalorian season 1, and it was not the greatest thing I've ever seen, but it was better than Star Wars has been in years. You know what I mean? Like, it was a marginal improvement. I have to give him that at least. Taryn, what about you on Star Wars stuff? Have you seen Andor or any of these?
I have not touched any of the TV shows, any of them. I've seen scenes here and there. Apparently Cad Bane showed up on season 2 of Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So I saw those scenes and I thought they were pretty cool. But I haven't seen Andor. I haven't seen any of that.
Okay. We had to be asked this. Ejdemir, I know your thoughts on the gay fish Kanye West, but have you seen the music video for his new song called Heil Mustache Guy? LOL. Have you
that
guys
dude
seen that?
has gone off of his meds.
It's, I mean, honestly, it's like Disney edgy. It's, guys, I was in an NSBM band. Like, you need to stop. This stuff was edgy like 30 years ago. You guys could seriously. It's adorable when I see like the Groypers like, hey guys, 1488. It's like, wow, congrats. You got where we were 35 years ago. Good job. Clowns. Dude, I hung out with Rubius from the band Pantheon. Go look them up sometime. Freaking massively NSBM band. So.
I remember your old drummer from one of those bands.
yeah. Damon, he was a big fan of that. All right. Deadpool Kid. So the Pope is from Chicago and his name is not Fuentes. Color me shocked. Well, that's okay. Fuentes' family isn't from Chicago either. All right. Iggy the Incubus, I saw Harry Sisson stumping for this guy. Lord, forgive me if I'm a tad skeptical about this new guy representing you. That does worry me. Harry Sisson likes the new Pope? No, sir, do not redeem. Also, I believe his first papal act was to hand out indulgences to anybody watching the live stream.
What?
I don't remember that in the Bible. I don't remember indulgences in the Bible, but I especially do not remember online Wi-Fi indulgences in the Bible. But hey, there's a lot of stuff Catholics believe that I've never read in the Bible, so it is what it is. Zach Zilla 1, why can't any of these guys have original names? It's like everything from their names to the wardrobe stopped at the Renaissance. Oh, let's see here. Insane hippie insane. The new Pope helped hide naughty priests in Chicago. Pope Francis appointed 80% of the cardinals that would choose the next Pope. That latter thing I did mention earlier. That's why I'm kind of dubious on this. I think we've still got a progressive Pope. I don't think he's necessarily as progressive as Francis was, but he's not far, because Francis was full on, like, he had to deny that he believes in liberation theology like 20 times because nobody believed him, because he was, when he was a cardinal and like even the earliest days of his career, he was palling around with Marxists and Marxist terrorists, and he was a Peronist and the whole 9 yards. So probably not as bad as Francis, but not, definitely progressive on immigration, definitely progressive on climate change, if we're going to adopt that retarded name. All right. Mechanicus on duty. I mean, Pope President Trump isn't as cool as God Emperor Trump, but I'd allow it. All right. Speaking of climate change, we have to talk about this real quick. Let me see if I can present this, because this is glorious, Cope. I can't believe he even bothered to address it. Bernie appeared on, I think it was Fox. And let me change real quick. Yeah. Bernie appeared on Fox, which is mistake number one, and was finally asked about all the campaign events that he attends in private jets, because he's currently jet setting around the world, stumping for action on climate change. So here's Bernie.
I'm more important than you, though. You don't understand.
So here's Bernie's Cope, guys.
Trump during the campaign.
Hold on. Sorry about this. Let me crank up the volume so you guys can all hear it. Yeah, there we go. And I might be able to full screen. Oh!
If you're playing it, we can't hear it.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Oh, that's right. It opened in a new tab. Sorry. It opened in a new tab. That's right. We have to manually select the tab after it changes. Sorry, guys. I thought you guys could hear that. Can you see it now?
Yes. Yeah.
The Washington Examiner page?
Yep.
Yeah, we're on the right page then. Okay. Now we'll play it. Sorry about that, guys.
Donald Trump during a camp.
Okay. He's asked about his private jet. $221,000 on a private jet.
When's the last time you saw Donald Trump during a campaign mode at National Airport?
No. It doesn't. But he's also not fighting the oligarchy.
No. You run a campaign and you do 3 or 4 or 5 rallies in a week. The only way you can get around to talk to 30,000 people.
Senator Bernie Sanders is facing criticism from Republicans for using private jets during his fighting oligarchy.
I think we found one of the Indian guys we're going to deport.
The tour focuses on economic inequality.
Is the Washington Examiner employing Indian outsourcing to Indian labor?
Travel is hypocritical. The backlash grew after Sanders mocked the idea of flying commercial,
saying
this is private jets let him reach more people quickly. He said flying private is necessary to attend multiple rallies each week.
Think I'm going to be sitting on a waiting line at United, waiting, 30,000 people are waiting. That's the only way you can get around. No apologies for that. That's what campaign travel is about. We've done it in the past. We're going to do it in the future.
Reports say Sanders has spent over $200,000 on private jets since February. Republicans, including Representative Wesley Hunt, called him out of touch, and others accused him of ignoring his own climate goals. Some conservatives like Laura Loomer also say Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez are acting like the elites they claim to fight. But others defend Sanders, noting his age and the need for fast travel during campaigns. Andrew Yang said private flights make sense for someone who is 83 and campaigning in multiple states a day.
Thank you. Come again.
Yeah, no kidding. Sorry. That was worth it just for the Pajit reading that out, honestly. That was... Birdie. Bruh. His defense is, when was the last time you saw Trump at a rally not flying private? Trump, first off, Trump is the president. A president who rejects your global homo climate propaganda hypothesis, by the way. So... here's a thought, and this is always a problem for the Comintern. Why don't you try defending your behavior by your own criteria, you Marxist old man Muppet? This is my problem. Like when James Gunn got canceled over a bunch of BS. And it was 15 days after he had canceled someone else over unproven allegations. And it was like, am I going to join in the chorus and cancel the guy? No. But am I going to leap to his defense when it's his criteria? You know what I mean? No, absolutely not. This is Bernie's criteria that he's flunking, and it's retarded that anybody's using this as cope, which explains why Andrew Yang is using it. I don't know. What's your read on that? Darren?
Oh, for me? It's typical hypocritical shit. If you want to bring up my screen real quick, I found a little something earlier.
Sure.
Leonardo DiCaprio flying 8,000 miles on his private fucking jet.
Who is 83-year-old Leonardo DiCaprio?
To accept a Green Award. And this is, of course, not the first time he's done it, or any celebrity has done it. Anytime they go over to Europe, it's always private jets. It's private jets for everybody involved. Talk about climate change.
What was the global homo warming documentary that he did the narration for? You remember?
Oh God, I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, there was some documentary about climate change not even that many years ago that he did. They aired it on AMC. They put it everywhere. They wanted that propaganda absolutely everywhere. So that's a bigger deal than you would think, but I don't know. You've spent the last 30 years blaming the AIDS quilt for global warming. Now all of a sudden, well, some private jets are more equal than other private jets. That's where we're at here.
That's exactly how I'd phrase it.
Is what it's called.
What's up?
Oh, that documentary was in called Before the Flood, I guess. Not that I saw it or anything, but
Oh God, dude! You remember the hysteria of the early 2000s? Remember the Day After Tomorrow?
Yeah. And then An Inconvenient Truth, of course. I mean, how did it age so bad?
Oh, so poorly. I like recommend an inconvenient truth to people because you'll never take global warming hysteria seriously ever again in your life.
What was it? No snow on Mount. Is it Kilimanjaro, Mount Fuji, or something?
He claimed that by now, or within 5 years from now, I think it was, New York would begin to be underwater. He claimed that there would be no snow on Mount Kilimanjaro by the year 2015. just laughable. But this has happened again and again. I mean, look, we're all Star Trek fans here. You remember Leonard Nimoy and the global cooling?
Yeah.
Coming Ice Age documentary he did in the 70s?
Yeah.
It's all a scam. Yeah. All of it. It always has been for decades.
A thing is what it does. Okay? A thing is the remedy for the thing. All right? You need to look at how it actually ends. Stop listening to the fluff and the rationale of why we're doing this. Look at what it ends in. And it always ends in more government regulation, larger government, higher taxation, more money. That's it. Stealing more of your money. A thing is what it does. It's not what it says. It's what it does. Period. And if more people could kind of peer through the Marxist miasma and kind of see that, we would be hoodwinked far more infrequently. Let's see here. Moving 7 or whatever. Leo's brother says he's a White Sox fan, not Cubs. Shy Sox definitely need the big guy. The White Sox need a lot of things.
And our Mod Camino Uni brought up the time they parts of the Amazon getting bulldozed for a climate conference. I remember that one.
Yep. Skull Leader, fuck off with your hippie shit. Coexist with my fist. Speaking of the Pope, Karen Ebb, the only thing offensive about that meme was it was AI generated. A real meme lord would have used Photoshop or Paint. Like, AI memes are just usually not funny. There's something funny about cheapness.
Yeah.
That's why Paint memes are still hilarious, and like AI
the
memes.
Early day of memes, the early internet of memes, man.
Yeah,
those are made in like MS Paint, which is like my skill level of photo editing. Honestly,
it's why comedy shows are never funny when they're a hit, and the last couple of seasons they actually have money. You know what I mean? Like it's always a comedy show is always funnier when they don't have a very big budget and they have to use like a dummy falling off a building or something, and it's a really obvious dummy. Right? Like that's the best comedy as far as I'm concerned. AI memes are just, they're too high production. Even with the 17 thumbs. Rifleman, great. Now the Pope is likely a Cubs fan. No, we just settled that. All right. Fire down below. History of Violence or Eastern Promises? I don't know what you're talking about.
Those are movies, I believe.
Are they? I haven't seen either.
Well, History of Violence is actually pretty good. It has Viggo Mortensen in it. I haven't seen Eastern Promises.
Frog Jupiter. Let's see here. Frog Jupiter on Easter Sunday, April 20th, 2025. Geno Samuel 2.1 released episode 1 of his cartoon adaptation of Sonichu. The very next day, Pope Francis dies. Coincidence? Of course not. All right, guys. Oh, yes. Mage Leader put out a video extolling the virtue of Iron Wind Metals. Was wondering if you had a favorite Ralpartha mech design. Oh, geez. I have a few. I really liked the Gen 2 Blackjack that they did. It came in different pieces and you could like pivot the top of it. Iron Wind Metals, for those who don't know, they're the ones who do the pewter sculpts of the Battletech mechs. Going back to, the 80s and whatever. They've been doing them forever. And it sucks because catalysts are terrible, but I try to support Iron Wind Metals as much as I can because they're not terrible. They still do good work. It's not a bad idea, by the way. I think I mentioned them, or I may have mentioned them in my support Battletech, not Catalyst video. I might have, maybe. All right. Trevor N., would you ever go on Normal World, Dave Landau's show on Blaze? And have you watched Hellsing Ultimate? Even better than the original anime. I have not watched any Hellsing. Would I go on Normal World? I've been invited twice, and I just haven't gotten back because I've had whatever craziness was going on. I had like a relative hospitalized, or I had to get surgery, or something was going on every time I've been invited on Normal World. So, in fact, last time I think George Alexopoulos went in my stead. So yeah, I'd like to, but every time I get invited for some reason, there's something going on. Cesario, Scott Steiner, the genetic freak versus gorilla. Who would win? Let's see the Steiner's maths on this. It's funny you should ask. Hey, Taryn, you want to read some from the thread real quick while I look this up?
Certainly.
Because Scott Steiner himself settled this question.
Let's see. Pope Scullius the first. Dressing for church, tie or no tie?
Depends on the church, but I try to dress up at least a little bit. I think if you got a button-up shirt of some kind, you're okay. But, you know, as formal and reverent as you can dress, I think that's better. The church that Tactical Hobo and I attended was a little more casual.
Yes.
Okay,
definitely.
where?
Coyote Stark. Do you have any other recommendations on fictional works besides Elric, Doc Savage, Solomon Kane, and The Rocketeer? Please and thank you.
There we go, guys. All right. I will give you those recommendations in just a single moment. Let me see if I can bring this up. All right, guys. I'm going to read this out if we can. Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner, has settled it for all time. Let's zoom in fact, so we can see it better. Let's say you got 100 average men. No weapons, no trading, just fear in their eyes and dad bods in their way. Then you get one full-grown silverback gorilla, 600 pounds of pure rage, muscle, and tree-ripping power. Now, here comes the math. Out of those 100 men, maybe 25% don't even show up once they see the gorilla. That's 25 cowards eliminated immediately. Then you got 33% chance of them trying to talk it out. They're done. Another 20% just stand there, frozen, pissing their pants. Now you're left with about 21 guys panicked, half committed, and getting launched like lawn darts. But what a Big Papa Pump's in the mix. You just tipped a frickin' scale. Now it's not 100 men versus one gorilla. It's one gorilla versus the genetic freak. And that spells disaster for the gorilla. Yes. Scott Steiner, ladies and gentlemen. The man himself. I was waiting for him to weigh in on that. That was glorious. Okay, so recommendations on other media. What was it other than the Rocketeer, the Shadow, and what?
Elric and Doc Savage and Solomon Kane.
Well, we're gonna stream The Phantom tomorrow. We'll probably talk about that a lot, and I highly recommend that one. Zorro, I have the complete Zorro pulp collection. They reprinted all those. In fact, these are awesome. They're the complete volumes from the original pulp stories, and they have new illustrations. They have, and some of them are pretty good. Let me see if I can find one. There we go. Right there. Oh, some of them are the old illustrations, actually. Yeah. Right there. So those are pretty cool. I definitely recommend Zorro. Zorro's awesome. I love Zorro. Always did. My first dog's name was actually Zorro. Taryn, what was your first dog's name?
Max. Max, he was a big dog, sort of like a husky. That one, he was huge, and two, he fucking jumped the fence constantly.
Hobo, I never saw your family have a dog. Did you ever have a dog?
We did, but it actually died, I think, before I ever met you. It died in like 3rd grade. And my parents never got another one since.
Just never replaced them.
Yeah, named, my parents, I guess, they had, 3 kids in the house, and they're like, oh, that's enough creatures, I guess. Muffin was the one dog I had in my life.
Wow. Okay. Weekly wee weeb shout out. Ho ho ho. We're all wee weebs here. Stephen Nizak, if only Pakistan had played Civilization, they would know that it's unwise to declare war on India. Very true.
Gandhi's a real motherfucker.
He is. All right. Rapscullion, breaking news. Trump honors Biden by renaming the San Andreas Fault to Joe Biden's fault. Always loved that Dennis Miller joke. All right. Jay Lee. Razor, what are your thoughts on Battletech Advanced 3062? I have played it. Can you play it on Razorfist Arcade? I already have. Already streamed it live. I love it. I love it. It's hard. It's really hard, man. Okay. Humble Dirt Merchant. Read what the new Pope says about gays, gender ideology, and women clergy. The most lefty Catholic clergy is basically your blue dog Democrat granny. Socially based policy cringe. That is kind of a decent summary in the sense that socially they'll tend to be conservative, but then they stump for super leftist, if not outright socialist policy, right? Especially if they see an opportunity to swell the size of congregations. Big Mike, so I assume he's a Catholic. Francis indeed made it hard to be Catholic, Razor. I pray for a return of John Paul II. This papist understands you can't love others by destroying yourself, which is what open borders does to a nation. You do not have a nation if you don't have borders. And this has been a drum that Hobo and I certainly have been banging for a long time, even before I had a YouTube channel. You and I were talking about it on, our proto podcast, internet radio show we used to do, right? We talked about immigration constantly because it was we started in the early 2000s and it was a big issue at that time, even then, right?
Yeah. I remember I did actually at school, I did like a speech in front of the whole class about how illegal immigration is bad.
Nice.
And this was in like Phoenix, half the class is like
early 2000s based.
Yeah.
All right. Big Trev, how much of a mental breakdown of lefties would have occurred if J.D. Vance instead said, me negro, Margaret? I like you. Richard Had, as good as Trump is doing, Republicans seem like they're stonewalling him more than Biden. We really need quality primary candidates. Yeah, we just had, and we didn't even talk about this yet. We had Trump withdraw a nominee, and I think RFK just appointed a new nominee for his Maha movement, who doesn't sound terrible, but I think people are more worried about her other social stances that really have nothing to do with the policy that she'll be helping to set. But, if she does, I'll eat my words. We will see. I'm not that worried about it personally. Keegan Phoenix, a friend suggested a band called Sleep Token. There's a band called Sleep that are actually really good, bro. All right. A good stoner doom metal band, which I don't say often because I don't like stoner doom. I do like doom metal a lot, but the Copper Owl, they expect me to take religious advice from a pope who's a Cubs fan? Nah, give me the pizza bala boppity boopity. Like I said, I think he's Chicago White Sox, right? Or was it fake news earlier? GRN Raptor, we could have had Pope Pepperoni, Pope Pepperoni the first too, and not Pope Deep Dish. Alas, no such luck. Pope Thin Crust. All right, gentlemen, around the round table. New York style, Italian style, Chicago deep dish. We could throw Detroit, but Detroit is just poor man's deep dish.
Italian.
All right. Hobo?
Jeez, man, that's tough. I mean, they're all like freaking amazing, to be honest.
Yep.
So I don't know. I maybe like New York style if I had to pick.
New York style. Okay, we got all right. I guess I have to be the tiebreaker. I go. Man, you get good Italian pizza. There's nothing like it. Good Italian brick oven pizza. There really is.
That's what I'm saying.
I do think I might have to go there. It's a little hipstery, but it's not supposed to be hipstery. That's the thing. It's just a street food. It's not supposed to be pretentious. It's supposed to be the kind of thing that you pick up from a window and then go off and walk around Rome or whatever, Naples more accurately. But you get good brick oven pizza. It's ballin'. It's really, really good. Godspeed. Slightly technical, aka Patrick. I could see a stripper pole in Jasmine's future. He's talking about that Texas rep. Oh my goodness, Godspeed. It does not compute. I'm happy there's an offensive tonight. It made my night. I was supposed to see Alice in Chains, but Sean Kinney was hospitalized. Is it really Alice in Chains without Lane Staley, though? It's kind of like hearing that Pantera is touring, but it's not Dimebag Darrell and it's not Vinnie Paul. Like, what are we doing? Who is it's Phil Anselmo and Rex Brown, right? Those are the only Pantera members.
Those are the only, and then they got
Zakk Wylde.
Yeah, Zakk Wylde, and then Charlie Benante from Anthrax.
Yeah. All right.
I saw them actually in concert. They were opening for Metallica.
Yeah.
A couple years ago.
Zedekiah, low church over high church any day. I don't know if I agree with that. Because you have high church Protestants, and granted, I attend a confessional Lutheran church, so I'm biased. It's very high church, extremely high church, in Protestant circles anyways. But I like the fact that there's a connection to the historical roots, because Protestantism's been around for centuries. There's no reason we shouldn't be connected to our historical roots. This kind of zero-sum falsehood that we hear where it's like, well, you're in Rome or you're Eastern Orthodox or you're one of those rootless Protestants, those Congregationalists with the smoke machines and the laser light shows. It's really a fallacy. It's not true. I do think Protestantism should be higher church than it is, but certainly in high church Presbyterianism, high church, even Reformed Baptist, high church Lutheranism, definitely it's very similar to Catholicism and Eastern Orthodox. Drunk mummified Ryan, here in America, our prisons are overflowing with white conservatives, right? What? Right. Very suntanned white conservatives named Jamal. Normal man sounded like a Deadwood character should be a requirement for people seeking political office. Thank you. Especially like Cy Tolliver. Powers, but every American politician should sound like Powers Booth. Let's make that happen. Jerry, you want to read a few from social media?
Would definitely get you votes.
And then we got one other real big story that we need to get to before we get out of here. I can't believe we've been going for an hour and a half. The RazorForce turns out for these things. Godspeed to each and every one of you.
Verdis de Moses says, what firearm is your personal favorite from aesthetics alone?
From aesthetics? The Mauser. Mauser C96 broom handle, baby. I love it. I love it. Always have. And I like, because I love revolvers. I love revolvers. And it's like it's a semi-auto that it has some of the ergonomics of a revolver. It's got that funky, it's called a broom handle because it's got that funky kind of contoured wooden grip. And when you hold it, and then also it has a lot of muzzle flip, right? When it shoots. So it kind of does this. It is a lot like using a revolver. A lot like using a revolver. So that's why I like
the Lamette, baby.
Ooh, that's a good choice. Hold on. What about you, man?
Actually, I really like the Webley revolver. I think that looks cool.
Oh,
classic.
Good choice. That's one of my favorite. That is a bucket list gun. That is one gun I don't own.
They're like impossible to get almost.
Yeah, they're hard to get. And when you get them, a lot of times idiots have filed the back of the cylinder so that you can accommodate normal 45 ammo, which is really stupid to do. It's really dumb to do, but people do it anyway. It messes with the firearm because it's not really built to those kind of tolerances. And especially if you use really hot 45 ammo, you can ruin that revolver. You can blow it apart. You really do need to use 45 Webley in that thing, but people don't want to because they don't want to have to reload. They don't want to have to go hunt down rare ammo. And I sympathize. I have to go hunt for Bergman ammo, right? Like that's not easy, but anyways, Emperor Creatine is a Fort Worth man. I share utter contempt for Dallas. Frankly, I'm embarrassed to share the Metroplex with these people. All right. LaGarrett, nobody ran against Jasmine. That's why she won. Yeah, I'd have to look into that, but that wouldn't surprise me at all. McLeod, not violent. Way too many videos from cruise ships to say otherwise, and that's not even for a political cause. Dallas already had cops shot for BLM. Very, very, very true. N-word Snowman, a Federation flagship with no Klingon bridge officer, is completely wharfless. Come on, gentlemen.
I've heard it before.
I know. But still, it deserves a light chuckle. The Major Spike 9000. I don't know whether or not the new Pope will do better or worse than Francis. I just want to offer the following phrase to keep in your back pocket for future ranting purposes. Huffing popium.
We're going to have to use that.
Well played. Well played. Fine wordsmithery, sir. I'll do one more, and then if Taryn could get to some more on X, because, man, you guys hit us with all kinds of responses on there, and I want to get to as many as, because we forgot to even hit that thread last week.
Yeah, there were just so many donos.
Yeah. Minister of Hygiene, an office they do not have in France. How about the Spain blackout and how the Spanish government celebrated getting to 100% renewables less than a month ago? Yeah, they've done away with nuclear power plants, and surprise, surprise, massive rolling blackouts. What do you know? What do you know? Have you guys been covering that? Because I've actually been following this a little bit. Have you guys heard about any of this stuff going on in Spain? It's an absolute goat fuck.
I've heard of it. I had, I mean, it just seems like something that would naturally happen. I mean, look what happened with Texas with their fucking wind turbines fucking froze over and you lost power in half the state.
Dude, is there a bigger green energy mirage than wind turbines?
They're so delicate. They break so easily.
They're
expensive.
They kill all kinds of wildlife too. Like they're the exact opposite of green. You know what I mean?
How do you dispose of the things, right? That's the other thing.
Yeah,
you're gonna have massive like structures, and you can't do anything with them. You can't recycle them.
In a million different ways, it's emblematic of California policy in general, right? It's this massively inefficient, doesn't generate any power. It requires all kinds of maintenance, murders wildlife, but it's a massive scam for the people who build them, the developers who build them. Therefore, we keep doing it. It's like high-speed rail that way. It's like real estate developers that way. This is a thing you see again and again with light rail and on and on and on. Monorail developers, all of that stuff. Classic California. Classic. Hit up X, Taryn.
Yes, sir. Let me go here. Nathan Stein. Will Bethesda ever finally go down? They can't afford another flop. Elder Scrolls 6 has to knock it out of the park.
Well, Starfield didn't flop. Okay, we do have to admit that. It wasn't the success that Skyrim was, but what is? But Starfield was a success. It arguably shouldn't have been because it's no good, but it wasn't a flop. So Fallout 76 was a bit of a flop when it launched, straight up. My understanding is that they kind of course corrected after that, and it's doing better now, even though it's still terrible. I don't know why people pretend otherwise, but yeah, I don't know. I think maybe I would modify that by saying I don't think their reputation can take another Starfield. Because that's when, if Elder Scrolls 6 comes out and it gets the same kind of complaints that Starfield had, I think at that point you are going to start seeing sales really fall off. And if you have a new numbered Elder Scrolls game that comes out and doesn't do that well, man, you're in trouble. You're in a lot of trouble. I do think we have some, like when we were streaming Elder Scrolls Oblivion, you remember there's little like features and stuff that I kind of have a suspicion they might be thinking about adding to Elder Scrolls 6, you know what I mean? Because they did change a few things with the Oblivion remaster that some of the other games like didn't have. The original Oblivion didn't have. So I think we kind of get an idea of that a little bit. Like a good example is when you're creating your character now has a written backstory, like in Daggerfall, for example. So look, that's a good sign. whatever you think of Bethesda, if a new Elder Scrolls game comes out and it's going to bring back the kind of early life section of the character's Wikipedia article, talking about how hooked your character's nose is, then I think that's a step in the right direction from a role-playing standpoint. Anyways, you want to read another one?
Certainly. Canopy. I've been considering writing a novel series that I've been mentally developing for quite a while, and I'm curious about what sparked your journey into writing The Long Moonlight. What was the turning point or catalyst that made you believe you could succeed with it?
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't think that. I wrote it because it was a story I hadn't read yet. I always, from the moment I watched Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves as a kid, and then later on in life played Thief, I thought, man, why isn't there a fantasy series where we just follow a thief around and we follow him on his adventures? That's what I wanted. Like, why isn't there just an ongoing, like, hey.
Hello?
You're muted, bro.
Can you hear me?
Now we can, yes.
Okay, just making sure that's the right microphone. Yes, it is. Sorry, I accidentally tugged on the cord there. I always, as a kid, a teenager, whatever, wanted to follow the adventures of a thief in an ongoing fantasy series. And I had never encountered Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser, which doesn't really fit that bill because you also have the barbarian guy with him. It's almost like fantasy buddy cop. But I never read that story. The closest I could come was Robin Hood, which I love to this day. But yeah, so that's why I wrote it. I basically didn't intend to ever publish it. I wrote it for my own enjoyment. And then I showed it to my girlfriend, and she's a big fantasy fan. And she was like, you got to publish this or do something with it because I really like this. And she's a person who introduced me to Elric and introduced me to a bunch of goods, Solomon Kane and Conan and stuff like that. So I trusted her taste on that. And she thought that it had some parallels with that. So I mentioned it in passing on a stream, I think, that we were doing, and a publisher happened to be watching and offered to publish it. That's how that basically happened. So I would, and you know what? That's probably not bad advice. Write a story that you want to read. And if you kind of approach it like you're a reader, it'll at least satisfy an audience of one. And you'll know you've sort of settled that question, because a lot of writers don't even have that, to tell you the truth. So it's not a bad starting point. You got another one?
Yes, sir. Civil War 2.0 says, what are your thoughts on The Lone Ranger?
I've been watching The Lone Ranger because they just opened a Lone Ranger channel on Pluto. And it's great. I love The Lone Ranger. May he rest in peace, John Cassidy, he drew a Lone Ranger comic back in the day for Dynamite that was pretty good too. Got another one, bro? Keep going, because we got a lot of these.
Let's see, Paige.
And actually, shoot, you could, after you read this, you want to get to some of the super chats there in the starred?
Sure.
Section.
Paige Ashley, what do you think is going to happen during the midterm elections? Has there been enough done to prevent election fraud across the states? And do you see Republicans holding or losing majority?
That's a tough thing to say. You know what? I'll throw that to Hobo first, because you do pay attention on the state level too. And you now have the benefit of being in a different state, and you've jumped around a little bit. So on the election security front, because we know that elections are handled on a state level, not a federal level. Have you seen, do you think, even the beginnings of the necessary action for election security? Hobo, you're muted, by the way. Okay, I think might be having mic issues. Yeah, he might be having mic issues. I'll go ahead and answer this one, and then when he comes back or fixes his mic or whatever, then hold on. Okay, yeah, no, he's having mic issues. I would say there was actually just recently in Arizona, the AZGOP, I think, won an actual election lawsuit. And I've actually been seeing a few cases here and there, even outside of Arizona, where there have been like various election lawsuits that have actually been won on a local level. It is moving excruciatingly slow, and I believe that's by design. The left love to bog you down in the courts, to slow you down. It's really basically it's an institutional method of obstructionism is basically what it is. So as long as Republicans don't get bogged down in that, don't let themselves get bogged down in that, we'll be okay. And there's going to be hell to pay after that governor's race here in Arizona too. We'll see what happens with that, because that might change a lot too. Hobo, did you hear at all what we were talking about?
Oh yeah, the midterms. I had to step away for a second. Sorry.
The midterms, and have you seen in any of the places where you've resided recently any of the necessary action on election security that would suggest that the midterms are going to go decently, at least?
It doesn't seem like too much has changed. Like places that I've been, I know certain places have been like shoring it up, but like as far as Arizona, like I haven't really paid that much attention. Have they been doing much? Or
there was a recent lawsuit and I think it's still ongoing. They won like one round of that. And so the AZ GOP now are moving forward with that. There was also something about like voting machines, I think. There was also a thing about voting machines. I think also there was something relating to voter ID. In fact, if you want to read a few starred chats, I'll look it up real quick and just like double check, because right. I do vividly remember these stories. So let me like hit the Google machine real quick and see if I can refresh my memory.
Ian Carroll's, when is Taryn gonna get you to play Star Trek Elite Force 1 and 2 for Razorfist Arcade? I mean, I'd be down for it. I love those games.
I dig those games too, man.
Let's see. Where did you leave off, actually? John Horn, what would you guys...
Here's one, actually. April 8th, 2025, the Maricopa County Recorder settled an election integrity lawsuit. That's never a good sign for the Democrats' standing. They wouldn't be settling that if they were on firm footing. And that's an official press release from the Maricopa County Recorder. Here's another one. This might be what I saw the other day. Here we go. America First legal victory. Following America First's lawsuit, all 15 counties in Arizona now taking action to remove illegal aliens from voter rolls in major win for election integrity. This is the one I was talking about. So there has been action. Nice. There has been action. I just don't know if it's enough. And we never know. There were a few little election integrity lawsuits ahead of 2024, and I still don't think that was enough. Even though Trump did win and there were a number of notable wins, I'm firmly convinced that without fortification, Kerry Lake won. But yeah, there have definitely been victories, but is it enough?
Yeah, I mean, Maricopa County is like one of the most corrupt counties in the country now, it seems like. Really, I mean, it's like, beyond, it's like Chicago level politics and crap that goes on now.
And it's always been that way to a degree. I mean, people forget, like, Sammy the Bull Gravano was out here and stuff. Like, we have some pretty sketchy, like, you have people who were involved in the mob, and then that mixed with all the cartel money and corrupt local politicians, local religious interests. The Mormon Church has a lot of monetary interests out here, and like there's a lot of dirty politics out in Arizona, and there always has been, but it's really bad lately. They're really mask off and have been for the last several years. All right, Taryn, you want to keep going with the super chats, and don't forget to click unstar them after you read them.
I don't think I have the power to star them. I just see a list. But John Horn, what would you guys like to see in a new Predator film?
What would we like to see in the new Predator film? Man,
there's another one coming out?
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't see the trailer?
Damn, what are they up to now? Like,
the biggest thing is none of the movies since 2 have been the correct mix of dick cheese 80s action movie and horror movie and sci-fi horror movie. None of them have walked that tightrope as well as Predator 1 and 2, in my opinion. I think everything after that has been either too horror, or some haven't even been that horror. Like, they've just been kind of boring. And so that I wish they would move more in a 80s style action kind of vein, like the original movie. And certainly Predator 2 had a lot of that stuff, with the crazy Danny Glover with the giant magnum just hanging onto the car. And dude, that movie's awesome. 2 is so underrated, dude.
2 is great.
Underrated movie. What about you guys? What would you like to see in a new Predator movie?
Personally, I kind of like the idea that the new one's going with. Mostly people are giving it shit because the Predator looks awful.
It's terrible.
It's CG. It's a CG head. It's not a mask.
That's right.
And
I've seen the picture of it or whatever.
It looks so bad.
Yeah, you need conventional effects for the Predator. And why wouldn't you? How much does the mask cost to make? Really? And does it look any better in CGI? I think the verdict is in, and the answer is no. I mean, is this like the most controversy around a CGI character design since maybe Sonic the Hedgehog?
Yeah. You know what? I would put it up there. There's no way they haven't noticed the comments or the dislikes on the video.
You think they'll change it?
I fucking hope so. I hope someone's paying attention.
Yeah.
Can you give me the times? Oh, yeah. If it's Rolf, maybe I can just look that up.
Rolf, no bad experience with church. I simply find organized religion to be apocryphal. Word of man projected onto God. Cave drawings for millennia removed. As far as I'm concerned, if God wants something, he'll have it. It sounds like you're a Gnostic. I am not, and I reject the premise of Gnosticism. Congillian, Rageaholic Cinema, James Bond. When? That's my answer. Galaxy Commander Dunadan, Son of the West. We should keep Alcatraz a museum and build a new federal pen in the Aleutian Islands. All right. Let's see here. That's the Predator question. Blitz Systems. Do you think the Pakistani laser-guided bombs will be confused by the red dots on the Indians' foreheads? Now you stop!
Dude, not cool.
You're
going to get
not
us
cool.
into trouble again.
Imagine the CIA trying to hire a sniper to take out someone in that region. Can you imagine? Solomon E. Tarantino has a style, all right. All about feet. All right. Kevin B., the man in the van. Thoughts on Republicans and rhinos blocking a Pro 2A bill that would have lifted the tax stamp on suppressors? No surprise there. Where'd gun control come from originally? NRA. NRA pushed NFA. The NFA is in place because the NRA supported it back in the day. The NRA have been on the wrong side of about 1 million different gun issues. They're not your buddy, but they're big lobbyists for Rhino GOP. But again, guys, the Republicans, we need to get out of this headspace where Republicans are conservatives. They're not. This is a rare instance right now where we have someone who's a little bit smaller government. We don't see this very often. We saw it with like Coolidge. We saw it with, Taft to a lesser degree. This is not the rule historically. Republicans, from the moment Lincoln was there, were progressive, and they're still progressive. We have 2 progressive parties in this country. It's just the Democrats are more progressive. That's it. And Trump right now is fumigating the progressives out of the Republican Party, and they're going down like bitches. They are going down kicking and screaming. Nord, KJV or NKJV? I don't know. I've read bits of both. I think I prefer KJV, but I don't see anything objectionable in the New King James Version. Omega Supreme with cheese. Leave Paul Pelosi alone. He was hanging out in his underwear discussing hammers with his homeless, drug-addled male companion. Nothing to see there. I'm still like vomitously disgusted at the people on the right who are like, no, that was fake news. No, he was attacked. We should stop mocking him for it. Come the hell on. He was there. The dude had a freaking wine glass in his hand. Like, nothing about that story made sense. Bullshit.
You remember when Obama's cook was found beaten and drowned in a lake nearby the Hamptons, and Obama had bruises on his knuckles, and just nothing ever came of that?
No, I don't remember that at all.
Because I do.
Nothing to see here, folks.
No, sir. The Collector, prayers for our RazorForce members who are turning to Christ. As a new Christian myself, what Razor said is absolutely true. We submit to Christ. Thank you. Yeah, prayers all around for that. It's never easy coming back to your faith, and it's, coming to your faith for the first time after maybe a lifetime of agnosticism or atheism. I mean, that takes a lot of swallowing of pride and dying to your pride. Thank you, Jeremy Stroh-Snyder, for that 5. But it takes a lot of swallowing your pride and dying to your pride, really. Dying to self. It's not an easy process. And you feel like you're fumbling around, like not sure what to say a lot of times. It's tough. Hobo and I have done enough volunteer work and stuff with youth groups and, missions work and stuff. You never know what to say to these people, especially in like a situation like, gosh, you did the DR and stuff, and I was in San Francisco with homeless people. Like, what do you say to people who are just that down and out? How do you even communicate your faith? It's difficult. You don't even have an applicable experience. All you can do is just sort of point to the cross, and that's the best you can manage, honestly. All right. Steve O'Devil, any thoughts of leftists organizing for June 14th to keep up their May Day protests? Juneteenth is such AstroTurf nonsense. It used to be a regional holiday, but it wasn't even heavily observed, and they've really kind of resurrected it and kind of grafted it onto the BLM thing to keep that racial hatred rolling. That's really all that ultimately is. But speaking of things that have been memory hold, ladies and gentlemen, where is this? This I thought was interesting. This is, and I appreciate it when some of the few decent Republicans actually point this out, because who else is going to hold these people's feet to the fire? We can complain on social media, but often that's just shouting into the void. Here we go. Shredding documents as we speak. Top Republican claims Epstein files may have been destroyed already. The president ordered them released. The attorney general ordered them released. We all know they have not been released. A top Republican in Congress is making the bombshell claim that FBI files on pedophile Jeffrey Epstein may have been destroyed possibly by the federal government. U.S. Rep. James Comer of Kentucky, unfortunate name, chairman of the House Oversight Committee, told journalist Benny Johnson on Tuesday, "I don't think the Department of Justice has the Epstein files, or at least the Attorney General does not have them, or she would have turned them over. The president ordered them released. The Attorney General ordered them released. The Attorney General ordered them released. We all know they have not been released," Comer continued. One of my biggest fears, which I expressed to Kash Patel and a lot of other people, including Stephen Miller, going into the new administration, was this: I hope they're not shredding documents. We live in hope, bro. We live in hope. Good luck on that one. But you all need to go on that first day and try to get all this stuff released, because my fear, based on what I've dealt with in investigations and in communication with this deep state apparatus, is that they're probably in there shredding documents as we speak. Guys, did we not hear about them shredding documents like the first week of Trump's presidency? Do you guys remember hearing this?
Absolutely. I don't know how real it was, but somebody made a post about there's a professional shredding truck parked in front of the building or something.
And dude, and they had how many weeks after Trump was elected and before he took office to shred all that shit? Granted, during that period, some of the appointments are taking place, so they couldn't get away with absolutely everything, but they had some time to flush shit down the toilet. And he says, so hopefully someone has a copy of that. Actually, let's go ahead and watch this real quick. Watch. This is from the Benny Johnson show, so shout out to him.
What's up? I don't believe it's because of any love affair or affection for the Clinton family, just like I never believed they were hiding and covering for the Bidens because they loved Joe Biden. It was because they hated Donald Trump, and they didn't want their agencies to be disrupted. The same thing with the Epstein files. I don't know this, but my concern is that that the government may have known a lot more and may have been an active participant, maybe with the intentions of intelligence gathering.
Like the sun
knows?
may have rose in the
day, I
east.
don't think the American people would be okay if the government knew that crimes against young women were occurring, and yet they did nothing to intervene.
Yep, there it is. I mean, do we even have any doubt of this? Do we, with how corrupt the FBI has become? Shout out, by the way, to my video, Time to Fire the FBI. I am of the firm opinion that as Trump tries to reform the FBI, the only proper course of action is, in fact, to rescind the FBI's ability to continue to be an agency. It was founded as a temporary agency to deal with reascendant street crime and gangsters of the 1920s and 30s. It has overstayed that mandate by almost a century. It is actually over a century in some cases. Well, technically over a century. They brought in Al Capone on his parking tickets, as we referenced earlier, and then they just have spent the entirety of the 20th century and the beginning of the 21st century inventing new reasons to exist. Oh, let's go get that drug lord guy. Let's pin his pelt to the wall. That'll be another excuse for us to continue to exist. The FBI is not a permanent agency. It was never intended to be a permanent agency. And if you have something that is already impermanent and now it's impermanent and corrupt, has it not defaulted on its right to exist at that point? Guys, what the hell? If you had an impermanent guest in your house and he started punching your wife in the face every night, would you not tell him to take a damn hike? This is not difficult logic here. It's very, very simple. It's extremely straightforward. In response to Comer's conjecture the FBI may be shredding documents relating to the Epstein case, Attorney General Pam Bondi told reporters Wednesday that's not the case. So are the documents missing? No, said Bondi. The FBI, they're reviewing tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children, or CP. The FBI is diligently going through all that, she continued, noting the large volume of files. She added, there are hundreds of victims. I have no doubt of that. And no one victim will ever get released, she said. It's just the volume, and that's what they're going through right now. The FBI is diligently going through that, I'm sure. This is the problem with having not purged the FBI. Number one, do any of us trust Pam Bondi, even, is it Bondi, whatever, even the slightest bit? Does anybody in this audience, anybody on this panel trust this woman? Taryn?
I don't know, man. I mean, we've gotten some information. We all appreciate the JFK files, the Martin Luther King stuff, but I mean, the fact of the matter is she hasn't delivered on the Epstein stuff. We need that stuff very, very soon.
It's ridiculous. And Trump, of course, rubber stamped that being released like the first week, guys. What about you, Hobo? Do you trust this woman?
No, but I will say the longer this goes on, the more likely stuff is going to disappear. And
thank you.
It's like they just keep dragging it out,
Thank you.
More and more.
Oh, it's
and they're
the
hoping
sheer
people will
volume.
forget about it. But
yeah, it's the sheer volume. Okay, then release a summary and synopsis. What's wrong with that? Hey, I'm busy writing my book. What do you send to your publisher? An outline, a synopsis.
Well, you know what? We got all this fancy AI crap now. How about we scan all the stuff in, have AI summarize it for us, right? The entire Epstein files.
Not only that, but look at the JFK. We have a comparative case, do we not? The JFK files were released. Those still are not out. Do you know why? Because they're busily in the act of scanning them and adding them at the Library of Congress. Right now, you can actually go to the, I think it's the Library of Congress, physically and access all of the JFK files. But digitally, they're still in the process of being scanned. So my question is, why do they have to go through all this stuff ahead of time? But they didn't for the JFK files. They just released the redacted ones first. Remember? They handed everybody those goofy binders for the stupid photo op and then went on their merry way. Why was there no photo op this time? Why was there no redacted version of the Epstein files? Why does one case work differently than the other?
It is worth mentioning. She says there are hundreds of victims. Someone important on X, I think it was a representative or cocongressman, said, okay, there are hundreds of victims. What about those doing the diddling?
Yeah.
You're looking at the video. Who are the perpetrators? Give us a list. Give us something.
Yeah, exactly. We can watch. You want to watch this word salad? Let's real quick. It looks like we have a clip of her answering. Oh, this is loud enough.
No, the FBI. Yeah, the FBI, they're reviewing. There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn. And there are hundreds of victims.
What does that mean?
And no one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume, and that's what they're going through right now. The FBI is diligently going through that. I haven't seen that statement, but I'll call him later and find out.
Does the here's my problem with that statement. Has the FBI done much of anything diligently in the last 75 years? Why? This is the first time, apparently, in the 21st century, certainly, that the FBI has done anything on a diligent basis.
They were very diligent, Razor, about tracking down everyone who walked into a building and took a picture in the Capitol.
Everyone who stepped across a velvet rope on January 6th. Boy, they were diligent as hell on that one. So that's our answer. How do we feel about that, RazorForce? How do we feel about that explanation exactly? I am inventing new kinds of unimpressed with Pam Bondi.
They were able to pick out grandmas during J6, but we can't get Tom Cruise identified. Oh, not Tom Cruise, but Tom Hanks identified on one of these fucking videos or something.
I am, that is the one appointment. I haven't had a lot of complaints about Trump's appointments. That is one I'm not a big fan of. She's adamant. I don't know if you're aware of this, Tactical Hobo. She's pro red flag law. She's anti-2A. That was her big political legacy back in Florida. Not a fan. Not a fan. I think she got in there because Marco Rubio, maybe DeSantis put in a word for her. I don't know. But I just have not been impressed with Pam Bondi at all. What about you guys? I'm seeing Pam's a fraudster from Donkey Eater here. Tell him Wanks Hanks. Thank you. Norman Legend. Good. Sounds like they have a bridge to sell us. Loki says, I just do not trust this at all. Little Marco, so small. So vastly small. You know you suck if Marco is outshining you, says Big Mike. All right, let's go ahead.
Yes, I know Tom Cruise is giving me the stink eye. I'm sorry, okay? I got my Toms mixed up.
We are, my goodness, we are over 2 hours. Let's try and get through these. You guys are absolutely nuts. Logan F. Razor, the new MechWarrior 5 Clans DLCs come out. Will you beat it on arcade? The first campaign was pretty good, in my opinion. Hail Kerensky and the Executioners of POS. Godspeed. I love the Executioner, even though it is admittedly not that great. We will definitely, probably not this week, though, because we got to get to the Phantom. We need to get to the Phantom because we've been wanting to play that for a while. Probably what we'll do, because it's only a beat 'em up. I'm sure it's not that long of a game. So we'll play the Phantom, and then we'll have Phantom 2040 for the Super Nintendo lay by as the backup, and then we'll start playing that afterward.
And then at some point we do need to play Expedition 33.
Yep. So we get quite the lineup here. I'd laugh if Diddy ended up in Alcatraz. I wonder if we're going to get an Alcatraz prison soon. That's a good question. It is in San Francisco. That'd be highly progressive. Like our new Pope. Omega Supreme with cheese. Ja Rule is a dollar store Tupac. Hung Nguyen, first time I heard of Crockett was at the JFK hearing last April. She asked nothing, only there for virtue signaling and partisan attack. Insufferable. Yeah, you know, if the squad still existed, she'd be in the squad. She's that vapid. She's perfect for Justice Democrats. Perfect. Western Civilization. Lincoln, thanks for the X-book recommendation. Book purchased. That would be The Real Lincoln by Thomas DiLorenzo. Highly recommend it. Big red pill on Lincoln. Adriano Celentano. The problem with reopening Alcatraz is that for the same cost, you could get at least 2 to 3 prison boats by repurposing bulk carrier ships and have much greater capacity and operational flexibility. Maybe, but man, maintenance on a boat. I don't know about that one. Plus, wouldn't that present a whole new host of challenges as far as like preventing prison breaks and now a prison break turns into a hijacking? Boy, that would be crazy. I do like the idea though. All right. Andrew James, I'm Greek Orthodox, and church drama, especially with the older Greeks, is a pretty common occurrence. It's true. The peculiarity I find with the Orthodox Church is that the further east you get, the more they don't like the versions of Orthodoxy that are Westernmost, right? So like Russian Orthodox is further Eastern than Greece, so they don't like Greek Orthodox. Greek Orthodox don't like American Orthodox. You know what I mean? Like that seems to be kind of the further east you are, you're more Orthodox. That's just kind of how that seems to go. I could be wrong on that, but that's been my experience. White Monkey 510, India will get their MREs from 7-Eleven. Now you stop. Emperor Soft Turtle, I want to learn more about 90s comics clusterfuck. Where should I go to learn more? Did you ever watch my video on your 1990? Here's the title of the rant. Your 90s comics suck and no one wants to buy them. That's the name of the rant. I'm rather proud of that title. Go watch that. I actually go over the history a little bit of the fall of comics and how the early 90s comic boom really led to the crash of 1997. All right. Pope Metallicus, I just realized we're in the cyberpunk timeline, and the first corporate war was actually fought in Kashmir by and for the IT department. Lame. That is pretty lame. A Cardinal Pizza Balla's name is Zupi Pizza Balla. All I can think is pizza ball soup. I love it. I love it. CD, thoughts on the Pakistan and BRICS? Will it still be a thing since China's allied with Pakistan, but it's supposed to be the big push in BRICS with India? That is confusing. That's confusing and would appear to be at loggerheads. And, you know, that's another maybe argument for why it won't. I don't think it'll escalate. We'll see. But I don't suspect it will because China's got enough problems and they don't want it to escalate necessarily. All right. San Fran, Lieutenant Dude, San Fran can have the dots. Leave us the feathers. Thanks for super chatting, dude. Death Wish 3 references are always welcome. Jimmy's neglected Mother Cell here. I disagree with Prot cells, but we have bigger enemies. Feel like Prots take anti-Cath too far given the current circumstances. Modern Minuteman movement. I am from Illinois. This new pope defended local priests, right? Diddlers. A local priest diddler one at my local Catholic school and literally just moved them around. That was in the early 2000s. That led to the famous Dennis Miller joke of, I went to confession the other day, sat down and said, you first. Fox, the smelliest conflict in human history. Thank you, sir. Jeremy Stroh-Snyder, Microsoft defending India sounds like the real world origin story for Comstar. Wow, I didn't think of that. It could be. Josiah Flynn, please send nukes and vagine. Anyone remember Omega Boost? I don't know what that is.
PS1 game.
Is it?
Yep.
I don't know. Logan Bergman, all we need is a blonde woman. War ended. Yeah, they'd be too busy sliding into her DMs to go to war. Mage Leader, ever play Shogo Mobile Armor Division? It's weird but cool if you can get it working. Never played it. Heard of it, though. Did you ever see it at, like, GameStop or anything, Ro?
No. Shogo? Shogo sounds familiar.
All right, Saul Shemek.
Or something.
Saul Shemek film noir suggestion. Stray Dog from 1949 with Toshiro Mifune.
Oh.
Dude, there was a period of Japanese crime movies in like the late 60s, early 70s that was just boss. They were so like pulpy and killer. I loved them. All right, Matthew Hammond. How is Xi and China? I guess he caved. Well, they're currently having some factory protests, depending on who you believe. There is some footage of it, though, so there must be some kind of truth to it. So that kind of is the latest on that one. And if that's happening, then things are worse economically in China than even we're aware. You have to remember, China deals with bad news about demography, economics, etc., by just not releasing the data anymore. And that has happened with a number of things: population statistics, repopulation statistic, birth rate, and shit like that. Basic economic data. All of this is withheld right now. I remember some guy in Japan had to sort of infer how much the population had fallen after COVID by tallying up how much less salt they were selling to the nation of China, because I guess Japan is like the #1 exporter of salt to China. They should check my comments section.
Yeah.
Eddie A! Any plans of streaming? Well, we already answered that. Yes, we will. Maybe the week after next. Granado. Andor is a BBC European World War II period show in space. You ain't wrong. All right. The Copper Owl. Kanye is just acting like the rapper from Frisky Dingo. He should have named the album after the one from the show. Balacost. Norm Al. Man, the Pope giving indulgences over a stream. Martin, get the hammer. The big hammer. There we go. Rod Maniac, remember to like and subscribe to the Papal YouTube channel and have your soul cleansed. You can do that here too. It's all right. Paul Astartes, Razor, I just assumed command of a reserve battalion out in Buckeye. Want to shoot an SAW. Habemus Pop-Up. Holy crap. Hobo, you want to go out and shoot an SAW?
Let's go, man.
Let's do it. We're not that far from Buckeye. Hobo, I don't know what his situation is. All right. Mercenary XA, guys, going to my martial arts class, but I told everyone as soon as I heard the name, I know this Pope would be terrible. He's from Chicago. Cringe atheists. Ecclesiastes 6:5-8 is proof the Bible endorses slavery. Ecclesiastes 6-9. Am I a joke to you? Godspeed, Matthew Pickard. Modern Mitten Man movement. The school was Providence Catholic High School. The priest's name was Father McGrath. He was the headmaster and was literally caught with CP on his phone. And then this Pope covered for him. Man, that was a problem. I had a freaking administrator at my school get busted for that after I had graduated. But yeah, they removed him from his position or whatever. That's happening more and more in public schools. That's if the teacher's not just diddling one of the kids. Especially if they're female, I notice. Mercenary X. Also, Alcatraz has been renovated, but the underground part, they're going to turn it into an even bigger Supermax prison. It's going to be an Ultramax. It's going to be the biggest max you've ever seen. DiCaprio called Chinooks evidence of climate change. For those who don't know, Chinooks are a warm wind and a natural phenomenon in Alberta. Yeah, like I said, I dated a girl from Alberta for a while, and it was the first time I heard the word Chinook. I'm like, what is that?
I know it's a helicopter.
Right? Primarch Vulcan, speaking of Billy Zane, have you ever seen his film Invincible? It was produced by Jet Li and Mel Gibson and features Zane in all of his boldness. Zane plays an agent of evil turned holy warrior. I've heard of it, but I've never seen it. What about you, Hobo? You've watched way more movies than me.
Have I?
You ever watched Invincible with Billy Zane?
No, I don't think I have.
No.
It sounds familiar, but I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah, I remember seeing it advertised on TV back in the day. I remember that. Mercenary X, Pope Leo had help from Pope Francis in doing illegal stuff. Pope Leo won't last a month when this info comes out. I don't know about that. They I remember Pope Benedict, they tried to slap with that stuff, and he was still around a while, although he was one of the only popes in history who had to step down. So, Hadrian Hardrada Cicero. People going doomer mode about climate change, even though the Earth has constantly shifted in temperature between hot and cold for eons. Climate change is a scam, as overpopulation is as much a scam as the overpopulation myth. The Right Tackle. If any of you read the horror novel The Troop by Nick Cutter, reading it now, it's The Thing meets The Lord of the Flies, body horror at its finest. I like The Thing, and I like The Lord of the Flies. That sounds right up my alley.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah. Hey, what version of Lord of the Flies you like? Movie? I think I saw the color one.
Yeah, I like the color one. It's pretty good.
I think that was the one I saw. Was that 80s?
Yes, I want to say
70s, 80s. I think that was the one I saw. On account of my asthma. Dilly Bod. I plan on making a YouTube Rumble channel where I read and fix bad fan fiction. Any words of advice? Maybe a 45 special. Get your whole face in front of the shot. No, God, bad fan fiction. What is it going to be, like the Fur Affinity Files? I think I just came up with a name for your show. There you go. No charge. No charge. Big Mike, funny how I've never heard a solution to climate change that didn't involve a complete communist takeover of our daily lives. Isn't that wild? Hey, it says here in this book that the good guys won every time. Don't that just beat all? All right. Underqualified gunman. Plugging the Doom mod Hideous Destructor, it converts the OG ones into tactical shooters versus demons in between Tarkov, Arma, and Ghost Recon. Huh. You ever play Tarkov, Hobo?
I have not.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised. It has it's more bliat for your buck on that game. All right. Matthew Pickard, I meant to say Ephesians, not Ecclesiastes. My B. It's okay. We'll let it slide this once. Welcome to Theology Fist Arcade. Saber Aran. Vance would get more support if he invoked Yawgmoth.
What the fuck?
Trevor N. Google Helsing Catholic Knights, some of the best vampire media ever made. Godspeed. Oh, Galaxy Commander Dunedin, Son of the West. I've had Italian style in Italy. Nothing better. I don't doubt it, man. Italian brick oven style is so good. And it's like Italian pizza is better the fewer ingredients you have on it. Like it gets better. It's amazing. The Azure Nightmare. So that's what happened to Pizza Pasta from Punch Out. Little Mac took him to the ministry to find Big J with a star punch. All right, Godspeed. Oh, Big K Movies and Games got Dirty Harry on 4K. It's great. Can't wait for MF. Godspeed. Dirty Harry's good in any format, bro. Matthew Pickard, one of them rootin' tootin' Protestants, I see. You found us out. WG, have you heard Bruce Dickinson's 1998 Chemical Winning solo album? I've heard a few tracks from it. What about you, Hobo?
Yeah, I've heard the whole album. It's been a while since I listened to it, but I think it was pretty good. From what I recall.
Everything I've heard from Bruce Dickinson's solo stuff is okay. It's not like it won't cure cancer or anything, but it's good. I don't have any complaints. His William Blake inspired Jerusalem is great. Think you'll dig it more than his crooning for Maiden. It is interesting, the breakup of Maiden, that like he went off and made his own band and it wasn't that different from Maiden, really. Like he didn't, it was just odd. You could tell he was just sick of touring with Maiden, really. So I think that's all it really was. Hobo, why do you think Dick Pants left Iron Maiden?
Well, he probably just wanted to, this seems to happen a lot with like lead, singers. They want to go off and like kind of, they just wanted to go do their own thing because they want to be the main headliner, right?
Right.
Because they kind of get an ego complex, I think, right? And like, I want to be the main guy, right? So
Halford, we know why. Halford, he left because he listened to too much Pantera and he wanted to go be them. So he made Fight, And then Fight stopped being a side project and became its own band. I think actually Glenn Tipton is correct on that one. He got kind of offended that Rob Halford was basically making a band that was as big a touring concern as Judas Priest was. And so they kind of like broke up / kicked him out or whatever. But yeah, it does happen. You're right.
Like Vince Neil did the same thing with Motley Crue, right? Kind of.
Marussia Dark, thank you for the compliment. I don't know if I agree, but Godspeed. How did I get so good at rhetoric? I don't know if I ever did. I really don't know if I did. Read enough Victorian novels and mix it with the odd stand-up comedy dick joke from Norm and Bill Hicks and Dennis Miller, and you'll get there. You'll get there. Generic name here. James Earl Jones was an avid gun collector and a huge fan of Webley revolvers. I heard that. Why do I know this? Why do I know that James Earl Jones was a firearms collector? Whatever. He was boss. I miss James Earl Jones already. Grand Inquisitor, why no Rumble simulcast? It's not supported on StreamYard. Like, you have to open up a separate stream, and I didn't have time to do that. So it's my laziness is the short answer to that. Insane hippie insane. The same dude behind the Dallas BLM rallies is representing Carmelo Anthony. Well, curiouser and curiouser. Hunter Williams, I don't think my heart can take woke stuff in Elder Scrolls 6. Dude, if they have they, them pronouns in that, I'm just going to throw my controller. I'm just done. I don't care. I won't buy it. I won't buy it if it does. What about you guys? If Elder Scrolls 6 has wokeness, do you guys play it?
It would have to depend on, like, the severity. Like, is it...
What
not just
severe
like
for you?
If it's just body type 1-2, I mean, I've played other games that have that shit in it. I don't like it,
right?
But I'll play it. If it's full on, like there's gay romance,
right?
Quest line,
they're butt sexing and boning down, right?
Like if that's the way it's gonna be, then I'll just skip it.
All right, you want to read a few more while I check Streamlabs?
Sure. I wish I could bring them on screen. Unfortunately, I cannot. Caveman Synthesizer. The Democrats turn majority black cities into little fiefdoms for their political loyalists, and you can't break them up because of the Civil War.
Yep, absolutely.
Gigatwin.
Why gerrymandering is a big thing there, and it's essentially what the Founding Fathers warned about, where it's a better representation of what the Founding Fathers warned about when they passed the Electoral College. You have a large population center. They were worried about this on the state level because of the size of the U.S. population at that time. You have one population center. The politicians realize they only have to placate the voters in that population center. They ignore everybody else. They promise them the world. They promise them freebies, and they use everybody else's money to pay for it. And that's the situation we have that is much more severe, I would say, on a state level now than on a national level, as the Founding Fathers feared. And go watch my State Electoral College Now rant for further extrapolation on that particular topic.
Gigatwin. Wind turbines, to my knowledge, basically pyroform the surrounding environment due to the vibrations sifting water and some nutrients underground.
Yeah.
Grant, Hearts of Iron 4 stream win. Interested to see what each of your starting countries would be.
In Hearts of Iron? Oh, man. In Hearts of Iron 4, I think I did Italy. I believe I did. Musso!
Mr. Anderson, thank you for the 20. What about Ibn Dranken? Ibn Dranken? I'm not sure what he was talking about. But
I don't know. Jay Reeds, you and Taryn may not be able to comprehend what I'm about to say. But Nigger Heil Hitler will be the right wing's national anthem for the next 4 years. Whatever you say, bro. Want to go ahead and do another one?
Pursued Corgi. Investigative reporter Don Balls got his car bombed back in 76 for looking into the mob in Arizona.
I think that was an episode of Unsolved Mysteries, wasn't it? I think it was.
I don't know.
He got like full on. When you think of like the mob blowing up someone's car, you think, oh, it's ticking and whatever. And yet it never happens, right? Like you think it's just Hollywood. No, this literally happened to this guy. He turned the key in the ignition and boom, the car went up.
Andy Leary, Kiss Mythos win.
Kiss Mythos win. One day I'll do Kiss. I absolutely will do Kiss one day. I'm not the biggest Kiss fan. Like I definitely wanted to get Alice Cooper out of the way first because I think he's the originator. I think his music's better. He's better in general. So I wanted to get him out of the way, but yeah, I'll do Kiss one day. It'll be interesting to do. I'll zig when everyone expects me to zag instead of covering all the drama, because pretty much all anybody ever talks about with Kiss is freaking drama. Like it's Kiss members talking shit about each other is a YouTube genre, right? So I'll do an episode of Metal Mythos that just talks about the music, right? Because I don't think that much of a lot of their music, but some of it I do.
Lance, counterpoint on the Epstein files. Blackmail material only works if you have some proof to hold over your target.
Yeah.
They didn't destroy everything.
Yeah. Good point.
Crucifix, Razor, good news. Look up Return to Silent Hill. It was just announced, and as a fan of the first film, it's actually good news. Sorry for sidetracking. Yeah, we've known about this.
We have known about it. Actually, if you bought the special collector's edition of Silent Hill on Blu-ray, the one that Shout Factory put out, they interview Christoph Gans, and he broke the news on the special features of that disc. So he was talking about how he was going to do a Silent Hill movie based on the second game. Which, dude, you remember years ago, I wrote a script for a Silent Hill 2 movie. Because I've always thought that would be the most cinematic of all the games to turn into a movie.
And hopefully it will be. We saw some stuff when they announced the Silent Hill 2 remake.
Right.
Mercenary X got out of class and catching up, working till 12 a.m.
Yeah.
He's working hard for that money.
Tyler W. Patel said he thinks Epstein hung himself now. And now you know why he went away. Jonathan 93, when was the last time we've had a good attorney general? Most have let our country down recently. That is a good point. I can't even think of one. All right. Lazy Man 94. Okay, for anyone who has problems with the new pope, write down your formal complaints, then nail it to his front door, like a Protestant. I may just do that. Let's see here. Modern Minuteman movement, speaking of releasing the Epstein documents, they also need to release the Bohemian Grove information. Careful now. Careful. Oh. Charlie Maki, I'm sure you've been asked this in some other stream, but what's your opinion of the Book of the New Sun series and any other works by Gene Wolfe? Never read any of them. Sorry. I have no history with that series at all. I did not inhale. I cast knife. How much does China's power evaporate once it's 100% confirmed that they don't have 1 billion people? I tell you what, their consumer purchasing power hurts, and that hurts their trading relationships. I think most countries, though, kind of already know that open secret. It's been out there for a while. They not only don't have 1 billion people, it's entirely possible, even probable, that China never had 1 billion people. They just cooked those numbers to make themselves more attractive for international trade. All right. Jake Downey, great aesthetics. Charmelot Delvine 1873 revolver. I got to see this. Real quick. If you don't, let me see. Charmelot Delvine. I'm going to look this up right now and put it on screen if we can.
Almost sounds like a rapper. I forgot to bring up chat. There we are. Hello, guys.
Okay. You know what that looks like? It looks like a Rostengosser, kind of. Yeah. Let me go ahead and bring this up on screen so you guys can see it. French revolver. Man, France is underrated on firearms. They really are. They're very underrated. Look at that. That's pretty. It's very Gosser revolver. Very, looks a lot like a Gosser or a Rostengosser. That's sexy.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I like that revolver a lot. We're just going to nerd out about revolvers now. A Rostengosser. Yeah, this guy right. Oh, and look who did a video on it. My guys see an arsenal. They did a video on it. Anyways, want to go ahead and read another one.
Certainly. Where did we leave off? On Rifleman?
Rifleman, yeah.
Rifleman.
Rifleman.
Have you seen the updates with angry cops and the Buffalo schools? The attempted kidnapper was finally arrested. The media is eating crow hard.
Man, I never looked into that. I don't know what all that's about.
Tom Brown. Sorry to bring the chat down, but I need prayers tonight for my son's friend. I found out she has a brain tumor and she's only 13. Pray it's not the big C.
Oh, that's awful. I hate to hear that. You definitely have my prayers. Some praying hand emojis in the chat if you would, guys. That's awful to hear.
Dixon's Cider. We totally should have a Theology Fest arcade. Razor needs the KJV and explains it part by part in Razor's inimitable style. A video essay in 5,000 parts, 500 hours, 7K hours of editing by Taryn.
Might be worth it just to make Taryn edit all that.
No.
All right, let's see here. Pope recovering from pneumonia. Pope meets JD Vance. Pope goes 6 feet under. American Pope elected. It all makes sense now. I was frozen today. All right, Mercenary X. Also, James O'Keefe put out a video about Prince Andrew, and suddenly we're in the middle of World War III with Pakistan and India. Deep State is desperate. Austin, sorry if this is a little off topic, but I live in Alberta. I'm curious, if we do not separate from Canada, what state should I move to? Godspeed. If you want to be somewhere like not a billion light years from Canada with semi-similar climate and better politics, I say South Dakota, bro. Go North or South Dakota. I like it up there.
I would have recommended Montana, but that place is getting gentrified hard.
Yeah, thanks, Yellowstone.
Ugh.
Appreciate it. Saber Iran, the lusty Argonian lizard person housekeeper. You stop it. Being thirsty on Maine. Iron Cola, the biggest disappointment about the woke right is not just the artificial divisiveness, shallow image priorities, and promoting actual Christian heresies. It's that they're low-fat movie bops. Godspeed. I guess knife. Well, The Elder Scrolls 6 is in High Rock, aka Fantasy France. Pillow-biting nobility would arguably make sense. That and political skullduggery, Game of Thrones style. I'm not sold on it being in High Rock, because Daggerfall already takes place there. All right. Project BRS. I'm finding it more and more common that green parties all over the world are commies LARPing as climate activist parties. You're just now realizing this? Normies now are figuring it out. We recently had a federal election and the Green Party got blowed out. Good to hear, at least. Jegs Dino God showing my wife the prequels for the first time. Episode 3 is up next. Can't wait until we get to that scene. LOL, she's an elementary school teacher. The younglings! Dude, Hobo, did you see JD Vance endorsing the prequels?
Oh yes, I did see that on X.
Yes!
Oh yeah.
That's my VP! I've been defending the prequels since 2012, bitch. Go look it up. I was doing videos defending those back when it was not popular in the slightest. JD Vance comes in and cleans house. All right, Deadpool Kid. Bohemian Grove is for artists to hang out. No gay smecks whatsoever. Wink, wink. Trust me, I'm winking. All right. Scully Bones, you believe in Jesus, which is wonderful. However, do you believe in Joe Hendry? I don't know what you mean. Godspeed. Primarch Vulcan, Charmelo, and Delvine revolvers were dual wielded by Brendan Fraser in The Mummy. That's what I like to hear. That movie has a pretty cool, like the costume and everything. The costume department was pretty good on that one. And art design. Jags Dino God, this is the final one, guys. I can't believe how many of you showed up and have supported this RazorForce offensive. But Jags Dino God, war in India, death and dysentery, all smells the same. If this stream had a tagline, folks, jeez. Oh, one more. Emperor Creatine. Prequel haters are just original trilogy watchers who saw it at 12 and expected the same experience at 35 that they did at 12. In other words, Trekkies. I will never forgive RLM for ruining Star Wars. You and me both, bud. But until the next offensive, this has been a roaring victory for the RazorForce. For Terran Gale, Tactical Hobo, I am Razorfist. Godspeed!